And we are live!
Now we're live.
We're live now.
Yeah.
We had a couple of technical difficulties. We did a little bit of a dry run of the first year of the decade, but we are live now.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, we're live now. We're live now. There's a delay. There's a delay. There's a
Sorry,
delay.
guys.
There's a delay. Sorry, guys. Whoops. Okay. Anyway. So, all right. Hold on a second. All right, are you back? You back? I can't hear you. All right, now I lost my audio. Yay! Yay! Hello! Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello! No? Hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Nobody can hear me now. I was hearing myself before, but I don't hear myself no more. Hello, hello, hello. Yo.
All right, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I think we're back.
Are
we back?
I think we're good.
Yeah, okay.
I know. We just went through a whole bunch of shit. We weren't live.
There's no road worth driving down that isn't a little bumpy from time to time.
That's right.
I was like pantomiming. I really feel like I was performing like the fucking glass box. But anyway, my audio's working. I don't know if that looked like I was really speaking. Anyway, so good to have you. And this is fucking great. Long time no see, even though I saw you 2 seconds ago. We did a dry run through the beginning of this. It was really good. It was going really good. The conversation's going good. And it was like, oh no, we're not live. Even though I started the broadcast, the streaming thing gets a little tricky. And then the audio goes in and out, and it turns on and off at the very beginning when it wants to. But once you get the ball rolling, the ball is rolling hot. Yep. Welcome back to CanceledCast, Ep.3. with Ryan Murphy and guest host Ann Levy, here to talk shit about the 1990s. And I have you on because I believe that you have very, very interesting perspective on the decade. Me and you pretty much match up in age. So we remember things happening at the same time. We pretty much have an equal memory to like what the fuck happened in that crazy decade. My opinion, the best decade. What about you? I think it's the best.
Yeah, definitely. It was so good. I mean, just being a teen, first of all, like, I mean, the early 90s, obviously, we were very young. But then as it went on, 94, 95, 96, 97, growing up in the 90s as a teenager was sick. It was the best time. Like we can't even get into, I mean, because we got to start in the early 90s, but just the music, the clothes, the feel of that decade, the people you hung out with, the clubs, like everything was amazing in that era. And like
the shit you could get away with. The shit you could get away with. You can't do now. Nobody plays in the street. Nobody fucking, nobody goes out of their house without any communication. That's something that was the last decade that happened.
Yeah, that literally was. And we were running the streets like animals, like complete, delinquents, just doing whatever we wanted. And you really can't, we had the best mayor back then, our street, besides Dinkins, but we had
Dinkins was all fucking,
once Giuliani came, the city, we could go and be fucking assholes all we wanted, and we were safe.
Yeah, you were cool. Everything was pretty cool. Yeah. The 90s in New York was special.
Dead a long time ago.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Like you couldn't get away with that stuff now because you would have like an arrest record like longer than most.
And a million people in your face with their fucking cameras. Like, it's like, it's so stupid. So
you could get away with a whole bunch back then, and it was fun. It was like, it was the last time that was like I guess like as far as us growing up in New York, I feel like it's probably the same around the whole country. That was the last time that there was like the real. It's not like that American experience anymore. It's a different world. The whole world is different, just in general. It's
very different
with COVID-19. But in the 90s, the musical culture, the fucking like the television, the movies, just like the language, all the shit was so much, just a little bit more original than the 80s, because the 80s had a lot of original shit, but the 90s refined a lot of that. Yeah, the 90s streamlined a lot of that bumpy shit. The fucking colors. It started in 1990 with the cross colors, right? And the fucking, but people like I said earlier, when we first went through the dry run, that people were still, had motherfuckers still wearing bike shorts, like out, just walking around in bike shorts. Like the tight fucking cross-colored bike
mad short.
With like a hemp sweatshirt, you know what I mean? And fucking high tops.
The cut-off sweatshirts and shit. Yeah, and the Reeboks, like the Reebok high tops. Yeah, man. I know.
I was gonna bring up the pumps like a little later, but I think they had the Reebok pumps were in 1990 also. But like those fucking pants,
those were like late 80s. I feel.
Yeah. I had them. I had a couple pairs. I had my mom. I popped intentionally and said it was an accident. And I popped the
powder.
It is powder in there. There's powder in it, but it didn't explode like that though. But it did like sort of hiss pop, and then there was talc in there, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I mean, whatever, man. It was like, and I said,
like asbestos.
It was fucking good, like foot cancer. It gave you foot fucking cancer. But I'm just saying, like the pants, like you had the dudes who are still walking around, and those Guidos, they would wear the wife beater tank tops. They'd also have like the bodybuilders pants. Remember the fucking like they were like sometimes they were speckled or striped or whatever.
I was gonna say they had like different like patterns on them and shit.
Super cheesy. They looked like a trapper keeper. Like they had the same fucking design that the outside of a fucking trapper keeper had, or like or like Stacy's Diary, the cover of your girlfriend Stacy's Diary. Like it had
like little triangles and
like the speckled fucking Saved by the Bell fucking logo kind of shit. And they would wear these fucking pants, these bodybuilders, pants, thinking they're looking hot as shit with their rat tails and their mullets, right?
That was the shit back then, though.
You know? But then you had the reinforcement when you had like MC Hammer wearing fucking parachute pants, like he'd fall off the stage and land safely. Like it would just be like. He just sort of like glide his way down, like, you know, and Vanilla Ice, you know, Vanilla Ice was sporting a fucking super baggy, like New Jack Swing dancing. You know what I mean? Fresh Prince motherfuckers. That year, that was the first season of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We brought up her. That's my wife with her 90s hairdo.
Oh my God, and the lipstick with the lip liner. I love it, and a choker. Yo, she totally killed that shit.
Doing her best Liv Tyler. That was like, or Drew Barrymore. That was Drew Barrymore, actually. Drew Barrymore, yeah. Drew Barrymore circa 1985.
I love it. I can't. Look how pretty she is. I know. I'm wearing like the Kurt Cobain chic. You know what I mean? I was trying to find something 90s.
I just did all that shit for the last video. I was like, I'm just gonna dress like this once. I'm not gonna wear these heavy ass jeans again. They weighed like fucking 50 pounds. I was like, what the fuck?
Those were huge.
Those bells.
I love it.
Those are like fucking. Those were fat. Those are fat ass Jankos.
Oh my God.
But 1990
pants.
1990 had its big, but that's when like baggy pants were like introduced to like 90s culture, like 1990 with those big parachute pants. They ended up turning into jeans a little later on, but that was like you know like New Jack hip hop and shit like that, like fucking MC Hammer and all that shit, fucking CNC Music Factory. Remember those motherfuckers? Cheap ass shit. Anyway, I hated them. I hated them even back then. I thought they were fucking annoying. But, you know, we had a fucking whole shitload of good movies in 1990, I was saying, too. I was going down the line because we were younger, like you said. You said, like, yeah, we were, like, younger. So I was like, you know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was fucking awesome. And I was bitching about how I had to wait online for 2.5 hours. But I ain't going to go into that story again. That shit got boring quick.
Yeah.
So let's X that shit out. Anyway, and Home Alone, the best Christmas movie ever. But then we got into a back and forth about National Lampoon's Christmas. And I think that's when they realized we weren't live.
Is hands down the best. I'm sorry. The best.
It's hard for me. I say it's hard for me to put it past Home Alone, but it's definitely up there. Like I laugh just as hard at both. I do. But National Lampoon's when the cat fucking gets tangled in the fucking Christmas lights under the couch, and then they move the couch later. And I forgot when I first saw that movie, like back then, like early 90s. Like I think I rented it. Like I didn't watch it the first year it came out, but I rented it from like Blockbuster or some shit, right? And I totally forgot that the cat was like fried. because you don't see the fried cat until later.
Yeah.
And fucking Clark pulls the couch out, and it's like, and they're all looking for the cat the whole time. And I forgot the cat was under there, and I was like, I jumped and I laughed so hard. I was like 10 years old, laughing the fucking. I was like, oh shit! I was like, you found the fucking cat.
My favorite part in that movie is when Clark just goes apeshit. He's like, spineless, dickless. Like, he's going insane. And everybody's just standing there. That's my favorite part of the whole movie. I fucking love that part.
That movie's fucking great. That is one of the greatest movies, actually. It's actually really funny. It's fucking hilarious. A lot of other funny shit that year. That was the first season of Seinfeld, which took over the fucking 90s.
Seinfeld.
Best sitcom ever. Best sitcom ever. My favorite,
definitely.
Hands down. There's others that stack up, but nothing's ever come close. I mean, like when I watch Curb, I just feel like it's Seinfeld Part 2. It's the Larry Diaries. I feel like it's the Larry Diaries. Like that's what it is. It's just a sequel, like Better Call Saul. Like that, like Curb Your Enthusiasm is like a Better Call Saul to Breaking Bad. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is to Seinfeld. And because I feel it's an extension. But otherwise, Seinfeld's the best fucking sitcom ever. And that was.
What about The Simpsons? Didn't The Simpsons come out around that time?
Yeah, I think it was 88. I think it was like Tracy Ullman's show. Okay. And 89 was the first season, but it didn't get hot until 90. You're right. Simpsons in 1990 was the tits. Everybody loved The Simpsons. I had Simpsons t-shirts that I had to take off in school. I was
just going to say that. My friend Dom, he wore, and at the time, I'm sorry, Dom, if you're watching, he was a round Italian child. Okay. And he was so cute.
I was a round Irish child, so yeah.
But he was so cute. He was like a meatball, And he came in wearing the I'm Bart Simpson, who the hell are you t-shirt. And he refused to take it off, and they had to send him home.
Yeah.
I remember that
I didn't refuse. What they did was they threatened to send me home, and then he turned my shirt inside out, right?
Oh, maybe they made him turn it inside out. That might have happened.
They made me turn it inside out.
That could have been.
Okay, and I was fine with that. I went the whole day or whatever. Now, like in the laundry cycle, I didn't go to my mom and tell her I wore it inside out. I didn't tell her I did that. I didn't tell her that incident happened. If I could get in trouble at school and then not have to tell my mom, I'm not telling my mom.
Of course. Of course.
So they were like, you got to go home or flip your shirt over. I said, no problem. Flip. And then, okay, it's like a week later, maybe 2 weeks later in the cycle of laundry, right? And I get the shirt back to wear that day. My mom not thinking there was any problem with it, even though she was like, why would they let you wear hell on a shirt? But she wasn't thinking that. She just, let me get this kid dressed and get the hell out the house, right? Yeah. So I go to school. I get in trouble. And they're like, you're getting sent home. You don't listen. I was like,
like that was it.
My mom thought she was like, oh, if I knew, I wouldn't have sent him out with the shirt. They're like, ma'am, this is the second time you said you said that.
Pack it in your book bag. What does she know? It's not her fault.
Whatever. I mean, I didn't live too far away from fucking, But either way, I think there was somebody home. Somebody was home, so I was able to change my shirt and go back. But but that shirt, I'm Bart Simpson, who the hell are you? And they almost couldn't even say that, but it was prime time. And they were like, it's not a children's cartoon. This is an adult cartoon. So they couldn't. Argument back against that, and that was 1990. They were doing that. That was like a pioneer to, dude. You would The Simpsons. I mean, they say, oh, Flintstones. It's like, yeah, whatever. But The Simpsons, you wouldn't have Family Guy or South Park. Because they were ripping on people way before any of those motherfuckers were.
Yeah,
South Park does come later in in the decade. They do come like 97, right? South Park comes about.
Yeah, they can't. Yeah, but then if you remember, was it South Park or Family Guy? One of them had gotten canceled. It was Family Guy. I think had gotten canceled.
Yeah, like a year into it. It was like a year or two into Family Guy. They got canceled by Fox, and then went on Adult Swim, right? And then Fox was like, "Holy shit, they're way more popular than any show we have on our." And we cut it loose. And then offered Seth MacFarlane more money, and then he came back and said, "Okay, fuck it."
Thank God. I mean,
he took the $50 million or the $100 million or some shit. But anyway, music, fucking hair metal died that year. That was it. There was no fucking people were listening to that shit. Like Guns N' Roses was still popular, and like Skid Row was still popular. But like Poison, people weren't listening to Rad or Poison. Like, they were listening to it.
Right, or like Saigon Kick or any of that, really, That's how I started. Like when I first started listening, like when I was younger, I would listen to the radio and you listen to like Madonna, Michael Jackson, whatever. But then my sister, when I was like probably around 9 or 10, 11, got me listening to hair bands, and I was listening to all them Poison, Motley Crue, Skid Row, like I mentioned before, Saigon Kick, fucking Judas Priest. There's so many. There's like a million. I don't know if Judas Priest actually fits in there, but there was so many. They
do. They were their biggest was in the 80s, so they do.
Yeah, like Warrant, fucking Winger, like all those crazy bands. So then when I was probably around 12, my brother introduced me to Hot 97, and it was a rap. Like it was.
No pun intended.
I didn't.
Pun intended. Was it a rap?
No. Exactly. Like I just fell in love with
rap.
Remix. So yeah, like I just. I'm gonna get the horn. To like hip hop, rap, reggae, R&B. Like R&B started getting so big around that time. Like there was Jodeci and Aaliyah and dare I say R. Kelly.
R. Kelly.
I'm gonna mention R. Kelly.
Hey, listen,
his music is so fucking good, man.
Listen, I say the same thing about Michael Jackson. I say the same thing about fucking other people too. I say the same thing about James Brown, and he smoked crack and beat women. So listen, not all artists are normal people.
Yeah, fuck him. Like fuck him. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah, but R. Kelly could sing. R. Kelly could sing.
He's so talented. I have an entire playlist of just like 90s R&B. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So good.
And he's and he's grinding real low in the fucking video too. He's like grinding real low. He's like this. He's fucking grinding. He's like all the way down.
Little did we know
that he a pedo. Little did we know that he a pedo.
Disgusting. But anyway, so I just really fell in love with just rap and hip hop culture and all the all the music that went with it. And but at the same time, as the 90s went on, I also listened to Nirvana and
that's the segue into 1991. That's in the next year. Yeah. But to cap off 1990 and with the hip hop, right?
Yeah.
Now, also what comes along with that is style. So you had like an emergence of gangster rap that came in the late 80s into 1990 with NWA and shit.
Yep.
And also just aggressive style. You had, like Public Enemy. And even the Beastie Boys were a little aggressive too going into the early 1990s. But there was a style that came along with it. People started wearing baggier clothes, like I was saying about the fucking the parachute pants.
This guy.
Yeah, all right. And cross colors. Cross colors were fucking all the rage for like 2.5 years. And then it played out. And then out of nowhere, it was just like, played out. It was like
that. No, that's not necessarily true because if you remember, Criss Cross wore cross colors for a while too.
Yes, they did it it was like from mid 1990 or maybe close to 1991, like at the end of the year 1990. Cross colors came real hot, and they were in all the movies. They were in fucking Boys in the Hood. Somebody was wearing cross colors at the very, and that was at the very beginning of it. Not everybody was wearing it, but
no. I mean,
once you got the juice,
I wore all that.
Once you got the juice, then everybody in the streets is wearing cross colors. White dudes are wearing cross colors. You had Snow. Snow was like in
fucking saying
he was wearing cross
shit though.
Yeah, the song is hot for like 2 seconds. The song is hot for 2 seconds.
He was so good. He was so good. He did that other song too, like Lonely Monday Morning. Lonely.
Yeah, okay, yeah, he did that. Yeah,
he did another one too, but I forget the name of it. I forgot, but yeah, I liked so. He was cool.
So 3 other notable things in 1990 that I want to just get off my chest before we move on to 1991 is my favorite fucking video game console of all time, even though I love all the video game consoles, was Sega Genesis, and that came out in 1998. Sega! There's a fucking Sonic the Hedgehog would start right afterwards, and Golden Axe, all those games are awesome. I spent more hours... I spent more hours on a Genesis than I think on any other game console, and I'm still a gamer. I literally play that thing all the time. I remember George H.W. Bush Sr. didn't like broccoli. And he was like, I don't eat broccoli. We're going into Iraq. Ain't nothing about it. And all these chicks just started calling themselves, it's the 90s. I'm a 90s girl. No, I do things different. It's the 90s. And it's like, what was different from 1989? You're doing the same shit as you were like
absolutely nothing.
Like
the only thing that changed, right? The only thing that changed was that like the big hair started going away, and and all that shit. But other than that, yeah, you're doing the same shit you were last year.
Hairdo Paul was sporting the fucking.
Yes, the
do you remember? Yeah. I gotta ask you something. There was somebody out of Long Beach, right, during the Snoop Dogg just emerging, right, into Death Row Records. She said what she said. She said her line was, "I'm rough and tough with my Afro puffs."
With my Afro puffs, yeah.
Remember
that was
shit. And then she was jacked. She was big. She was in Next Friday, I think, right? Doesn't she chase Mike Epps around the car?
It could be, I believe so. I forget her name though. Like she was like a one-hit wonder, so like she came out with that song.
And she was in like the Snoop Dogg video for 187. Fuck, man. Anybody in comment land remember that shit? No? Anybody? No? All right. So anyway, going into 1991, and that's when we were talking about the grunge and shit when it started becoming really popular. Alice in Chains, Nirvana didn't debut in 91, but they came out with their first hit record. Nevermind. Fucking Smells Like Teen Spirit was still probably one of the most played songs of all time. And
not my favorite Nirvana song though.
Not mine either. But you know what? It was like, it's not my favorite Nirvana song by far. It's not. There's other songs that I think are way better and should have been radio songs that didn't become radio songs, but became popular after he died. But at the time, they were like on the second half of the record. But they played them all the time. K-Rock played out a whole bunch of Nirvana songs after he died that were like not going to be radio songs. Portrait was cool anyway. I mean, it's sad. Like we'll get into that later but he's still alive in 1991.
Yeah, thank God.
And that record changed a lot of shit. I said that in 1990 hair metal sort of fucking died, but that was the last nail in the coffin. They even said that shit on MTV. They were like, no one's going to want to listen to fucking Motley Crue anymore. Everybody wants to listen to Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains. And when Nirvana fucking...
Couple Pilots.
STP, all that shit. Yeah. That was like... And that was part of the fucking soundtrack. Like, really, honestly, when people are like, 90s, soundtrack to the 90s, it's like, yeah, you could say a whole bunch of shit. Like, maybe I do want to hear the Cranberries here or there. Or maybe I do want to hear, like, Lauryn Hill here or there. Actually, no, I'll hear, like, Fugees and shit. But it really is going to be, all that stuff. But all I really want to hear is the fucking hip hop and the rock, because that was really the fucking, I'm saying like even Alanis Morissette I'll even put into the rock category, because that Jagged Little Pill was aggressive. Like it had a lot of emotion.
She was talking shit about Dave Coulier.
That was the songs about fucking Uncle fucking what's his face. Yeah.
What was his name? Joey, I think.
Uncle Joey.
Dave Coulier, That's
but
crazy.
Nirvana was the beginning of the tsunami. You know what I mean? And all that other stuff
really came because right out.
Yeah, because of that wave of grunge rock and all that shit. And grunge rock was serious shit, and it wasn't just one or two bands, and there weren't just one or two hit wonders. This is it burned really a hot fire that burned for a couple of years from 1991 to about 1994. And it influenced everybody's music from there on out that didn't even sound like that. You had fucking rappers now. You had like mumble rappers who are into grunge rock. Like, and it's I'm influenced by Kurt Cobain. Some dude said in an interview, and I was like, I sort of get it. Because you're not the same kind of fucking hip hop artist that was around 20 years ago. You're more of an artsy sort of,
That's true.
Like kind of shit. So I was like, okay, I could get it. That was that year, 91. I felt like 91 I was 10. I was like, I'm double digits now, and I thought something different of myself. Like, I'm not an adult, right? But I'm like, I'm a big boy now. I'm 10 years old. I got two numbers in my age. I could do mature things, like pick like new music that I want to listen to. You know what I mean? I was already doing it. I bought my first tape in 1989, and it was Appetite for Destruction by by Guns N' Roses, and I bought Injustice for All by Metallica, and I bought something else at the Wiz. And they were sort of far apart, so I played like the same tape over and over again. So, but the thing is, by 1991, when all this grunge rock started coming out, I seen the teenagers who were probably 2 or 3 years older than me listening to this stuff, wearing the flannel shirts, skateboarding, and it sort of influenced me. I liked heavier music, but this is sort of heavy. And grunge rock, like, changed me a little bit. I know I'm like fucking Sporty Spice right now with my fucking tight t-shirt and my baseball hat. But, you know, like, I was like, yeah, I won't be fucking grunge rocker. Yeah, fuck it, man. I will rip my jeans and not give a shit. But I was still I liked hip hop and stuff too. I always did. But 91 was important. Fucking Boys in the Hood. There's a lot of good movies that came out that year. Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Terminator 2. Yeah. Boys in the Hood. That was a good year for fucking movies, man. Boys in the Hood is a fucking good movie. I like that movie.
It is. It's really good. It's definitely
Cuba Gooding Jr. Yeah, Cuba Gooding Jr. I know he touches chicks' butts now, but like at least I hear. Who does it? Everybody's grabbing ass now. We're fucking grabbing ass everywhere now. Yeah,
I don't give a fuck. Exactly, and everybody's ass is so big.
I accidentally bumped into it.
Like back then. Yeah, like back then, the only girls who had asses like that were black girls and like Spanish girls. Nobody had. All of a sudden, you see white girls with these big fucking asses.
Well,
these
speaking
days.
of 91, Salt and Pepper. I didn't notice. I'm gonna tell you something. You know, now this is a TMI moment. But the thing is, I didn't really start noticing booties until hip hop. You know, I'm not gonna lie. This white dude is not going to lie, people. That's I did not start noticing booties until hip hop, and Salt and Pepper was huge that year. They were like. I was like, oh shit, girls could rap too, because it was all guys before that.
Hell yeah.
I think there was like MC Lyte, but I wasn't mature enough to know who MC Lyte was. And I know that there was Queen Latifah, and I knew who she was, but I wasn't so familiar because I wasn't so aware. Because when Queen Latifah was popular, I was only like 7 or 8 years old or 9 years old.
Yeah,
but by this time, I'm like, and by this time, right, she was like already like sort of like living single. Like she was famous for TV. So Salt and Pepper, they were rapping, you know, and it was like they're aggressive. I'm like they want. I'm like they want to fuck, but I'm scared. I felt the rape. I felt the rape vibe from them, but like I was intrigued at the same time. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man? Yeah, no, I do too.
I love Salt and Pepper though. They're
hilarious
so good.
Like, too. They were funny too. That's the thing. Like they had like personality to go along with the, you know, like the vibe, like the super sexy vibe, and like that 90s like hip hop fucking style too. Because that was all what was going on. Was pretty much they had the big cross color jackets. They were wearing the biker shorts like Fly Girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But dudes wearing You know, but they were huge, man. Salt and Pepper, you know, Reebok pumps was also huge in 91, even though we brought that up earlier. Saved by the Bell.
Heard us, though.
Saved by the Bell. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we might have
Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell. Zach Morris and the gang. Like, that was huge, and that was always on TV. My younger sister always wanted to watch Saved by the Bell. I mean, I wanted to watch it, too, because, like obviously, you crush on Tiffany Amber Thiessen. You know what I mean? And later on that decade, when I found out she was doing Playboy, I was like,
Score!
I know where I'm going to be on Tuesday morning when that issue comes in. So, yeah, Saved by the Bell was huge. It's still huge. Every time they do a 90s throwback, Saved by the Bell is always in it. And 91 was the year, like, people were like, you can make Screech jokes. You know, all your nerd friends are being called Screech. You knew you called your homie Screech. You know?
Yeah.
You know you called you. Stop acting like Screech, bro. What the fuck? Or Steve Urkel.
Oh, God.
Which was also another huge show in 91. Family Matters is huge.
But he was also Stefan, so you can't forget that.
And do you remember the cross-dressing episode? Do you remember Myrtle
Urkel?
His cousin Myrtle Urkel?
Oh, that was the shit. And wait, Martin. Don't forget Martin.
Oh!
One of the best shows ever.
You know, he's straight savage as a stand-up comedian. And he was brutal doing Def Comedy Jam back then. He was brutal. And he got away with a lot of those jokes on Martin. But they were like polished. They were polished, but those jokes were there. And he was able to get you can't get away with any of that shit now. Martin, no way. And it's classic.
So good.
Oh my God. He was like, I swear, he was like the first super edgy comic to be solid successful on a sitcom. Because you can't count Bob Saget. Bob Saget's a savage comedian, but he did it not on Full House.
He wasn't. He was Danny Tanner.
Martin?
Yeah. He was like a wholesome white dad taking care of his kids,
Martin brought that to primetime TV. Chris Rock couldn't have done that back then. No way. Not even Adam Sandler couldn't have done that back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would have been too much. Martin was able to do that, and I think he did good. I love the chemistry that he had with the actors on the set. Yeah, they said there was a lot of horror stories. You did hear some bad stories. I don't know if you remember.
He was fucked up to work with.
Yeah, he was like a little bit of a prima donna. He met Will Smith. He met Will Smith. Got super cunty. Anyway, let's go into 1992. 92, big music year. Pearl Jam.
Oh, Pearl Jam.
Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg teaming up. That was a fucking solid union. That still resonates today. Like, people talk about Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre in the same sentence still to this day all the time, referring to that music that they made that year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They were really good back then.
Hell yeah. The Real World, I think, was super hot in 92 also.
Was it really?
The OG reality.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Do you remember? Okay, do you remember there was a season? It was not the first 2 or 3 seasons, but it was like season 4. They had Pedro and Puck. Do you remember Pedro was the gay guy with AIDS?
Yes.
Puck was the bike messenger. They had like a couple seasons before. It was like the first season that they had with real conflict, and there was this guy from Ireland, and there was an SNL skit with Mike Myers. Right? And Mike Myers, like the last season Mike Myers was on, maybe he made it to the next season, but he was like, all he could say was, every time somebody fought, because that was like the first season that people brawled in the house. Like, that was the first time you saw that Jersey Shore kind of fucking people brawling. They OG'd that shit in 1992. So, like, Mike Myers, which also is another segue to a point I want to make about 1992, best SNL cast ever was in 92.
If you go back to it, SNL was the best in the 90s. It was
if you go back to that list and just check it out, it's like the names, you're like, holy shit. Like Sarah Silverman was on that season. You didn't even realize. Dana Carvey, Mike Myers, Adam Sandler,
Kevin
Nealon, Chris Rock, David Spade, Chris Farley.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck. Yo.
So
I'm like, yeah, I'm like legit. I'm like, holy shit. This is like
all heavy hitters,
not all of them,
but most of them.
Yeah, Phil Hartman. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. Yo, it's like crazy how many fucking like super heavy hitters they had on it. But anyway, Mike Myers did this character making fun of the guy in the real world. He goes, oi! And every time somebody would get into a scuffle or fight, he'd go, oi! I'm from Dublin! And everybody would stop fighting. Everybody would stop fighting and just like look at each other like, what does that have to do with anything? But 92 was a cool year, man. SNL was fucking beast, and it really was like the best cast, I feel. And everybody, and this is one of my favorite, and you know what? You could try to bring it back. I tried to bring it back. People were like, nah, that's corny. Some people were into it. I felt like if I dressed in a certain way with something on like that, I'd look too hipster. But starter, you know what I mean? Like, I had a starter jacket. I had a couple. I had a Knicks one. I had a Rangers one for a minute, but it ripped. And my mom couldn't sew it because you remember that material, that windbreaker material from the starter jackets? Yep. It was if you got caught in a branch, it would rip so weird. Like, it would never rip a line, and it was hard to stitch. And I already had another starter jacket, and this was the older one, so it got fucking tossed. But
starter jackets were awesome. Yeah, I remember those.
Everybody had the fucking Charlotte Hornets starter jacket because that was like.
I was just gonna say that. That's the one I had. That was the hottest one. I don't know why.
Yeah, everybody had one because they were a cool team to like. The thing is, Charlotte Hornets back then had that short ass dude, Muggsy Bogues. And they had Grandmama Johnson. Do you remember Grandmama Johnson, the Converse commercial? Yep. And Alonzo Mourning, probably one of the best centers of all time. He ended up, I think, coming down here to Florida. He played for Miami and won a championship with them and shit. Anyway, they had a cool team going, and everybody liked them because they were like a likable team, and their merch sold because of that. Everybody loved the Hornets. I had a Hornets.
I loved my Hornets jacket.
I had a Hornets basketball, And I had another Hornets thing too. I think it was a bobblehead. It was like a Muggsy Bogues bobblehead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was probably like this big.
Yeah, it was like I don't know, man.
Just think.
I crushed it. Fuck, I crushed
You
it.
remember that?
I'm crashing your head. Look at my head. I'm crashing my head. See my head?
Oh,
See my head?
that's 90s. That's 90s right there. That's
That is 90s. Yeah. That's Kids in the Hall. Kids in the Hall. That's Kids in the Hall. Speaking about SNL, Lorne Michaels, that was his show too on Kids in the Hall.
It was
also
Canadian though.
It was Canadian. It was practically Canadian SNL. Lorne Michaels
was so good.
So funny. So funny. A lot of those guys had fucking legs too. In 92,
I heard they're coming back.
Yeah, they're doing a season. I don't know if on Hulu or Netflix, but they're doing a season.
I'm very excited, yeah.
Bill Clinton got elected president in 1992. And two things. Speaking about cross colors, because all the Fly Girls had it, In Living Color was the hottest fucking show on television.
Yeah, In Living Color, yes. Oh my god.
Aside from SNL having the the most beast SNL cast of all time, In Living Color had an answer to that. Because they had all the Wayans, Jim Carrey, Tommy Davidson.
The Wayans.
Yeah. It was wall to wall. It was talent. Amazing. And those guys are still funny. Even Damon Wayans' son is he's awesome too. He's a great actor. Super funny guy.
I don't know if
I've seen him. Damon Wayans Jr., you've seen him. He's done a couple of movies and he's done a TV show for ABC. But yeah, 93 cool. Juice. Tupac's fucking
Tupac.
Yeah, his movie debut. I think he did Juice and then did Poetic Justice immediately after that.
That's right? One of my Poetic Justice is one of my favorites. I love that movie.
Oh, Janet Jackson.
Oh my god. She was so beautiful.
She was a believable actress, and she only did she did a Tyler Perry movie, and I don't know what else she ever did. She should have just acted. I don't know. Janet Jackson.
She was a good actress, yeah.
And she was she was hot as fuck. She could have made, I think, more money probably acting. But the thing is, music, some people just the whole family is dancers, musicians. So it's
yeah, I mean, her music is really good too, though. I love Janet Jackson. She's good.
Platinum, I don't know how many times. I don't even want to try to count, but it's a lot,
Yeah, she was really good.
Yeah. Janet Jackson was fucking, she was fucking huge in 93. I say rival her brother in 93. Even though Michael Jackson was hot 90, 91, 92, I think Janet Jackson sort of pushed past him in 93.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, because he was getting obviously he was and will always be the king of pop, but Janet's music was so much just sultry and R&B, she had all that going on, and it was just so good.
Super talented. But speaking about her chemistry with Tupac and how good of an artist Tupac is, we were talking about the king of pop. Now let's talk about the kings of hip hop, Tupac and Biggie Smalls. 1993, right? 1993. Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls are probably the two biggest influences in hip hop for the whole decade, right? But that year it became defined that these two guys are who everybody's banding behind. You know what I mean? There were artists that people were following and stuff, and you could be like, oh, I like this. There are other things that come in 1993 also that for me eclipsed the one thing that eclipsed Biggie Smalls and Tupac, as far as both of them being the soul kings of hip hop for that decade. They pretty much, with their style, changed a lot of things that people mimicked. A lot of people admired Tupac's intellect and the way that he was a wordsmith, the way that he used words that weren't typically used in a hip hop verse and making it applicable for even somebody who happens to be a street kid for them to understand. You know what I mean? It was not. Yeah. It was. It was hard for fucking super uptight, censorship people to fucking understand. But a lot of the stuff that he was spitting was wise as fuck. And Biggie Smalls, his fucking rhymes, he used his words like how guitar players use strings. He bent, warped words, and it was like words that you didn't know could rhyme fucking rhymed rolling off of his tongue. And there was part of the fucking Tupac had his swagger and had his machismo and shit, but Biggie Smalls had like his bravado also. You know what I mean? Where it was like he was like a fucking strutting stud too, but in a different kind of way, where he was more slow moving and smooth about it instead of being so hop around and physically aggressive.
Like so aggressive. Yeah.
He was
they
like
were definitely different in that way.
Laid back. They're like polar opposites. But at 1993, they were still really cool with each other. This is still they're still very cool with each other. None of that drama picked up. And they reigned in hip hop for a good solid 3 years. But it turned tumultuous as we'll get into it later on in the later years.
Yeah.
But in 1993, they're cool and they're giving each other props. They're standing next to each other in interviews, and everything's cool.
I remember the first time I heard Tupac. I was in like junior high school, and it was my first Tupac song I ever heard was "I Get Around." And like, you're just like in junior high and you don't even know, like, you don't really comprehend 100% what he's even talking about. You're just listening to the you're just like, oh.
Do you know what's funny? From those songs and songs like that, there are terms and slang that I use still to this day as an adult because of shit that I heard on a Notorious B.I.G. song or or a verse that Tupac spit or something he said in an interview. You know what I mean? And it's like, I fucking repeated that.
So good.
I repeated shit that he said about Faith Evans, like doing the fucking, the California Love video where he's fucking toting around the money.
Yep.
I've repeated shit that he said and then repeated it 20 years later, in like homage to fucking Tupac Shakur. The one thing in 1993 with hip hop that eclipsed the both of them for me and is still number one, my favorite hip hop act of all time and will be forever because they are forever is Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang
Clan, 1993. They ain't nothing to fuck with. And like many other people have said before, even though as individual artists, they are fantastic. None of them could individually compare to somebody like Biggie or Tupac. Maybe with intellect, yes. Because the RZA
like
and the
Jizza and RZA, yeah.
Fucking smart as fuck.
Even more so, I think. Like the words that they would use were just different,
I'm still looking them up, man. I'm still like fucking what did he say? I'm flipping through my thesaurus, like I'm like, wait a minute. Fucking Wu-Tang Clan. 36 Chambers of Death is it's my favorite hip hop album of all time. One track
so good.
Smoothly moves into the other, but they are greater than the sum of their parts. They are, as the Wu-Tang Clan, I feel as I speak about the Wu-Tang as one entity. Like how many people speak about their deity. I speak about the Wu-Tang Clan as being coming together had so many different varying styles that they made like a perfect mesh flow one into the next, and they traded off really well. Wu-Tang Clan is by far probably my favorite fucking hip hop act of all time. And they started, that was 1993 was when they came out with that album. Everybody was singing Method Man in the fucking school bus. We went on a class trip.
METHOD. But the thing I loved about Wu-Tang is that even though like collectively they're amazing, but individually they're also so good, like just so super talented. Ghostface Killer is crazy. I love Raekwon.
Old Dirty Bastard.
I love Method Man.
Old Dirty Bastard.
ODB. Yeah.
I fucking love ODB. I love ODB.
Like, individually they're really just fire.
Ghostface
like they're
too.
so different.
I like as far as obviously Method Man, I've copped all of his records, you know what I mean? And I haven't really bought everybody's records from the Wu-Tang Clan, but I have downloaded
Raekwon's good.
Raekwon, Ghostface, and Old Dirty Bastard are all on my fucking phone.
Yeah.
And they're permanently on in part of the rotation. 1993 was huge, man. I mean, for music, it was huge. It wasn't huge for Fruit Stripe Gum. Do you remember Fruit Stripe Gum?
The gum that was good for literally 2 seconds.
1 second, 2 seconds. That's it. It was
trash.
Fucking trash. Garbage.
Terrible.
It was like, you know what? They suckered a whole generation of kids like me and Ann Into thinking, yo, this gum looks mad delicious, and then
but why the fuck did we buy it? That's the thing. Like, we knew it was trash, but I would still consistently, whenever my grandparents or my parents gave me money, I would still buy it. Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
Understand that.
I don't know. I would still get it because it was a quarter. It was a quarter, and it fucking, the Wrigley's was like, no, it was 15 cents, and the Wrigley's was 25 or some shit like that. And you were like, oh shit, I could get a couple of fucking Now Relators. You know what I mean? Like, you were like, oh, I could bust this out to a Jolly Rancher stick.
Ooh, 90's candy. That's another good, another good one. Sour Powers.
Nerds.
Nerds, Starburst, all that shit was good back then.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah,
when, like, the good sour stuff started to come out,
Warheads.
Warheads. Oh,
yeah.
Shit.
What the fuck else is there? Shit. I start smacking my teeth. 93 was big for fucking candy for me, man. I was candy crazy in 93, man. That fruit stripe gum almost ruined it for me. But we were talking about, like, we were talking about, like, fucking, Wu-Tang. But the thing is, like, speaking about, like, what the weird thing to come out of, like, hip-hop culture, and I feel like In Living Color was hip-hop culture, was Jim Carrey.
It was, definitely.
93, he was, like, the focus star on In Living Color, and shortly after, in 94, he was the biggest comedy star of all time for that year. He blew away everybody. He was like a fucking force to be reckoned with. Listen, don't tell me you don't wake up and at least one time during the day before you go to sleep say something from Ace Ventura or Dumb and Dumber or
not every day, but I definitely quote it a lot.
It comes up a lot. Like I notice myself doing stupid shit like, like from Liar Liar or something like that, or like like I'll say something and not even realize I'm fucking doing it, and it's because like he was like everywhere. Like he was the coolest fucking comedic actor of that time, and everybody wanted
so animated. Yeah, like there's nobody like Jim Carrey. He's moved around all over the place,
like a rubber band.
Like he can, and just like morph his face, and like he's insane. Like he really is one of the best actors of all time.
In one of those shit Batman movies. It was a shitty Batman movie, but he was good. He played the Riddler, and it was perfect.
Yeah,
like he made sense as the fucking Riddler.
Of course, it was perfect.
Fucking up. 93 was also, stylistically wise, speaking about hip hop and stuff, or just like, style in general, even not even hip hop, like regular ass fucking dudes by Jordans. Michael Jordan, the hottest fucking sports fucking figure of all time, probably even still to today. His fucking sneakers, everybody had a pair of Jordans in 1993.
I just bought a pair of Jordans today.
In 93, my favorite Jordans were in 93, and that was the crush strap. You remember the crush strap?
Yeah. Yep.
Colored bars on the sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Those things were super fucking comfortable, too. And it was like, you knew why you spent $100-something for them. You were like,
yeah.
Yo, no wonder Jordan is good. I'm feeling fucking good right now. You're wearing those motherfuckers like, holy shit. That was when people started wearing their straps open back then. You know what I mean? Like they still do that now. That started then in like about 93. I want to say it was probably 93 people started doing that. Boss and Tommy Hilfiger were hot. Everybody was wearing Boss fucking jeans. Tommy Hilfiger.
I have a picture of me in a Boss sweatshirt and like the big gold earrings and like the lipstick like Paula was wearing. My fucking hair pasted to my head. Like I had my nose here because the year that I didn't have my nose pierced back then yet, but the year that Tupac died, I was just telling a friend about this the other day. I ended up when he died, I was obsessed with Tupac, and I ended up piercing my own nose at home because on the same side he had it because I fucking loved him so much as like a tribute. Yeah.
Did it get infected? How was it? Did you do a good job? Is it still pierced? Or
I did a good job. Yeah, I could probably still get an earring in it. Yeah.
Oh, cool,
I did a good job.
Cool. That's cool. That's
I was like 14.
That's a fucking fan. That's a fan. That's a fucking fan right there.
I love Tupac.
Hell yeah.
I have pictures I have a picture of my when I lived in Canarsie. I have in my bedroom. I literally had a Tupac wall, and I just had picture. I had a huge poster in the middle. Like I idolized him. He was like a god to me, and like when he died, I was like, damn, like that really fucking hurt.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rehash that memory in a little bit when we get to the year, though. Yeah. Sorry about that. But 1993, that was sort of like, you know what? Honestly, I felt like it was boring. 94 was a little bit more exciting because a couple of huge things happened as far as being in New York. You know what I mean? In 94, the Rangers won the Stanley Cup and everybody went fucking crazy. Do you remember everybody was out in the streets? Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching the TV like I loved Mark Messier.
Brian Leach, Mark Messier, like they were it was awesome. It was awesome. I'm not into hockey either, but I do respect it as a sport. It's just that I'm not into hockey only because like really I have to compartmentalize my attention span to certain things. So hockey sort of fell wayside, although I did have skates and I did play street hockey with my friends. And I did keep up with the sport, you know, in high school. But once those friends that were really into it started like falling off, I just stopped following it. But I knew what the fuck was going on back then. You did not know because it was 1940. Clap, 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 clap. They were chanting in fucking in Vancouver, right? We were playing the Canucks. And when they won, I think it was like a Game 7 win too. Correct me if I'm wrong, hockey fans. I'm sorry. But it might have been a Game 7 win. And New York was just alive in June for a winter sport.
Yeah. Because like the Rangers, they're the Rangers. You know what I mean? Like if you've ever been to a Ranger game at the Garden, there's just nothing like it. The energy is insane. You just go fucking nuts.
Yeah. Hockey games have a lot of life in them.
It's so good.
And it's like, you know what? It's cooler in the arena, so everybody feels like they have more energy to let go too. So it gets raucous, man. The hockey games.
Oh yeah. You go crazy.
Hell yeah. 94 also huge band. Probably Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's one of the most famous bands, Green Day.
Oh,
Green Day didn't come out with their first album in 94, but Dookie, their first platinum album was 1994. A lot of notable things in for music in 1994. Besides Green Day hitting it big and becoming huge, and rightfully so, because those songs are catchy as fuck. That album is another album that I have always saved on my fucking playlist. It's always there. Even when I was shit on fucking pop punk as a douchebag metalhead as a teenager, I can't now. As an adult, as a mature adult, it is a fucking classic album. It cannot be fucking. But a lot of sad things did happen. A lot of happy things did happen. Like I mentioned to you before, and I know you were like, you said I forgot. There was a Woodstock '94, the 25th anniversary.
Yeah, I definitely don't remember that. I don't remember.
Do you think it's like the Mandela effect, Ann? Do you think it's like one of those things? Like
it could be.
Maybe I remember something that didn't happen, or
no. I think you're right, though. I mean, there definitely was. Like, I don't remember. Like I said, I don't remember being called Woodstock, but I know that there was like a big concert.
I know it wasn't actually. You know what? You know how it goes. Woodstock is like the festival. They had an annual even after the big famous one in '69. They had an annual one, but it was never held in Woodstock. It's like the one town over. They just call it that festival, and that's where they had held the 94 concert, I think, or the 99 concert. 99, well, I'll get to that later. But there was one in 94. And like Nine Inch Nails played, but all the hippie bands played too, like Crosby, Stills, and Nash played, and I think Green Day played that too, which was a happy moment. Happy moment for me. My favorite band of all time, Pantera, released Far Beyond Driven with platinum, and it was the first metal album to go platinum after it's released. No other metal band went platinum that quick, like right after a release. Pantera's Far Beyond Driven, which is a fucking classic, 5 Minutes Alone, all that shit. Sad news, though, that year, Kurt Cobain offs himself in his fucking garage, which is a very sad thing. Supposedly, I still think Courtney did it.
I still don't believe it.
Come at me, Courtney Love.
That cracked out bitch definitely killed him, okay? I don't want to hear... I mean, I know he had issues and stuff like that, but... Fuck Courtney Love. I hope that bitch is just as ugly as she always was.
I have a conspiracy theory, Ian. I
want to hear it.
I think Carol Baskin is Courtney Love, and Courtney Love is Carol Baskin. That bitch, Carol fucking Baskin. I believe it. I fucking believe it.
I mean,
but it was sad. I heard the news. I got home from school. I was in junior high school, thinking I was all grungy. With my hair all fucking combed to the side, and oh no, Kurt Cobain killed himself. I want to die. I was like, yo.
That's the way we all felt because he was such an icon, and you know, Nirvana's style of music you never heard anywhere else. He was just so like powerful in every way.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that was a huge loss. It really was. When he died, I was like, damn.
That was the first kind of sadness that I had, like for like a celebrity. Like that's the first celebrity passing that I've remembered. That's like the first
because like, you kind of felt like you. What's the word? I guess.
Yeah.
To Kurt Cobain, so it's like it doesn't matter the music you listen to because every single community, whether it was hip hop, rock, you know, ravers, whatever,
a lot of people were freaked out by that.
Like when that was on MTV, we were
like, oh, I was taken back. Yeah,
shit, yeah, like that was like a hit. Yeah, that was.
It was one of the first things. You know what I mean? Really and that was like the saddest part. Oh, and also, shit, another fucking thing too, pop culture wise. The Crow came out that year. And Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son, died on the set of that show, on the set of that movie.
Yeah.
At the end of that, and he was like a rising star. He did like 3 or 4 semi-serious, not super low budget action movies, but sort of decent movies. And he was getting good. And Brandon Lee, you know, he's super athletic, and you know, like his dad, you know, and he was totally capable of holding his own as an action star.
Yeah.
And then they tailor-made that movie The Crow for him, right? And his dad just started his movie career, started fucking, you know, building momentum the same way in the early 70s and late 60s. Same fucking thing happens to him, man. And I mean, like, Bruce Lee died from unknown causes, a heart attack, apparently.
Yeah.
But there's speculation that he was doing a little, you know, and other things.
Probably.
And amphetamines or something. He might have been using a performance enhancer that could have caused his heart attack. But Brandon Lee got shot by accident. Like, that was like accident. Yeah. Wasn't supposed to happen.
That's a shame.
And that movie was good. I rewatched that movie recently. It was on, I think it was on like HBO or something like that. Anyway, I watched it and I'm like, you know what? With the special effects are very Tim Burton-like, and they still hold up. Like, it's not so outdated. Like, you can watch it. Like, it's watchable. And I was like, this movie would have been good. This guy would have been a fucking like a Keanu Reeves, I feel like, maybe. You know what I mean? He might have been John Wick kind of shit. You know what I mean? Who knows?
He could have been.
94 was a weird year, man. But we also had that year too, rollerblades. I had a couple pairs of rollerblades.
I never could rollerblade. I never got the hang of it.
I used to do aggressive inline skates with those Jankos. You saw the Jankos I had on yesterday? I used to have those Jankos with my fucking my rollerblade tarmac CEs, and I had another pair of rollerblades too. That fucking I ended up fucking leaving at a homeboy's house. But I used to do that shit hard, fucking for like 2.5 years. Hurt myself a whole bunch.
Never got into it.
Oh, but also anyway,
yeah, no, but you just said you said you played hockey with your friends.
Yeah, so I had a regular pair of rollerblades, and then I had a pair of like aggressive inline skates too. And I used to do with all my friends, and we used to get hurt. I know guys who just found their old skates, and they're like 40, and they're like on they're on Facebook fucking busting grinds out and shit. And I'm like, just bald, not that, just bald. Yeah, we're all bald.
With their dad bods.
We're all dad bods and bald heads. It's okay.
Just all hairy.
All hair here and no hair up here.
I used to do, son.
But still.
And then their kids are just watching them.
Like their little kids are watching them do it. And it's like, holy shit, this guy's still busting moves. Alanis Morissette, on a better music note, Alanis Morissette came out with Jagged Little Pill that year. That was like one of the biggest albums of all fucking time. That was like, you know all the songs on that album. I don't own it. I know every song on that.
Of course you do. You had like... Being a musician, you would anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like that's an album you can appreciate, of course.
Fun fact: Foo Fighters drummer, which and Foo Fighters came out the year after. Foo Fighters drummer on Alanis Morissette's record, on that record, Jagged Little Pill, was their drummer forever. That blonde guy from Foo Fighters. Yeah. That was Morissette's OG drummer from that album. Yeah, he was hers first. 1995. Oh, fuck 95.
Ooh.
Before we get to 95, we're gonna transition because this is a great transition. This movie is one of the greatest movies of all time, in my opinion. Pulp Fiction came out in 1994.
Yes.
Quentin Tarantino's
1994? No.
Yeah, 26 years ago, yo. Hell yeah. Yo, that wasn't his first endeavor. Like, obviously, Reservoir Dogs came out a couple of years before, but Pulp Fiction is the fucking bee's knees.
I can't believe that movie is
That's the dopest movie of all time. Yo, Pulp Fiction 94. I wasn't allowed to see it in the theater. I wasn't allowed to see it in the theater. I saw a bootleg VHS tape at a friend's house, a junior high school friend's house. My mom, my dad, and my uncle and my aunt went to go see it in the theater. And my mom was like, wow, that movie was good. And I was like, that's fucked up. I couldn't see it. She's like, it's not for you.
Yeah, no, it's not for children's eyes at all.
I was like, yeah.
I'm pretty fucking far from okay.
But 1995. Yeah. 1995, man, was a fucking, one of my favorite. I started becoming like a real teenager in 95. I was 14, my freshman year in high school. And fucking, a lot of stuff fucking changed. And one of the things that changed a lot, right, is one topic I know you really want to talk about. You brought it up, and I'm so happy. I love this topic, but the fucking slang and the language.
Yes, the slang.
I incessantly use the word fat. Now, that's fat. P-H-A-T. Pretty, hot, and tempting.
Fat.
That word I use, and I know you used it. You used it when I met you, because we were the only two people still saying that shit is fat. Yeah, we were hanging out with a group of people, me and Ann, right? And this is 10 years ago.
And one other person who shall not be named.
Shall not be named. And we were like, yo, oh damn, that's fat. Yeah, and everything was fat. Like it was like, that's a fat ass car, yo, that's a fat whip you got there, homie. And like everybody's like, you still say fat? And it's like, yeah. Like why not? You know, Herb is my favorite. My personal favorite is Herb. Herb. If you didn't do it, that. Everybody's a Herb. Everybody's a fucking Herb. As far as I'm concerned.
Herb, yeah.
If you don't do it, if you don't do it, you're a Herb. If you don't do it, straight up, bro, if you don't do it, you're a Herb. And everybody's going to Herb you. Everybody's going to Herb you. You can be a Herb forever. Your name's going to be changed to Herb.
Hold on. Let's see if you remember this fucking throwback. Okay, as a young teenager, 14, 15, right? Do you remember? Now, I don't know if this was just my neighborhood because I grew up in like Bergen Beach, Mill Basin, Georgetown. You know. Okay. So we used to say instead of hooking up with somebody, you would say, "Oh, I'm gonna go with him," or I went with with them. You remember that?
I went. The past tense is that how you always had to say it was that
I went with them.
Yo, so what up with you? What up with you and Shorty? You'd be like, yo, I went with her.
Yeah. I went with her. Exactly. Oh, I love that you remember that. That's
I remember everything. I remember all that shit.
That's true.
Everything was dope, fat,
dope, money.
Money. You know, like, hell yeah, man. You know, like people would even but fat was one that really was on everything. That was the fuck of the 1990s. Like fuck goes on everything, fat went on everything. You know? Like I got this fat bag of herb. Yo, I got
word out there.
Yeah, I got these fat ass Jordans. Yo, you gotta check these fat ass Jordans, yo. Word?
Yep.
Damn.
Yep.
All right, homie. All right. You know, fat is a fucking awesome word. A lot of cool things about 95 too, aside from the baggy pants, those fat ass jeans. Did you guys know those fat ass jeans? The Jenkos. I wore the Jenkos in the video yesterday, people. But let's talk about the fucking Jenkos.
They were just huge. Like you couldn't even walk in them.
Yo, I legit. I had a homie of mine, maybe a couple of homies that you know, who had Jenko jeans. They were friends. They were the skinny friends, but they weren't the skinniest of friends. These motherfuckers could fucking Super Mario Brothers put their hands against and pipe draw themselves through their fucking pant leg.
That's how big they were. Yes.
That's how big they were. Yo, and
huge.
These motherfuckers were wearing these pants everywhere. They were skating with them. I knew motherfuckers who tried to skateboard with them, and they would fuck up all the time and just would insist on wearing. And then eventually that homeboy would tuck his shit into his sock and had his like fucking and had his shit tucked in his sock and looking like a fucking horse's ass, trying to skateboard with them on. But big pants were rocker kids were wearing big pants. Hip hop dudes were wearing big pants. R&B motherfuckers were there. Raver kids were wearing big pants. Everybody's wearing big pants. Everybody's wearing big pants.
That was the thing.
All the death metal guys I knew were wearing army cargo pants and black army pants, but they were big and baggy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everybody was wearing fucking big pants. And like I said about Tommy Hilfiger and the Boss, like wearing brands, like they were the big brand pants. Polo, well, they had like Fubu was a fucking brand back then too.
Yeah, Fubu. You know, Carl Kanai.
Carl Kanai.
Yeah. But yeah, Tommy, I remember figure was definitely like Everton hood and like the jackets. Remember the jackets everybody wore? Mm-hmm.
They were expensive.
Those like green and blue.
They were
and
fucking
they were red
expensive. They were like expensive. Back then they were like fucking $400 or $500 jackets, and that's a lot. Like,
I used to wear because like my parents were broke, so they couldn't buy that shit for me. So my friends would lend me their jackets, and they'd be like, "Oh, you can either have it or just borrow it for the night." And I'd be so thankful, like thank you, because I'd have like the Hilfiger jacket with my baggy ass jeans, Timbs. I would have like a hat on, like to the side.
I'll tell you,
like,
man. And also with
crazy.
The clothes too. In '95, I forgot to bring this up before because it's really a '93 topic, but this is still relevant for '95. Gap. When Gap opened up on the Gap opened up on 86th Street in Brooklyn in 1993 or '94. You couldn't get into the store. Everybody wanted Gap. So talking about the name brand and shit. Oh man, I borrowed my buddy's shit. Friend of mine lent me his Columbia jacket, right? And
Columbia jacket.
Because I left my breaker. I left my starter jacket at home. He left me his Columbia jacket. They were expensive back then too, but I wore it back. Wear it back. Just give it back tomorrow. I'm gonna be home. Just bring it back when you come back when we play basketball. I'm like, yeah, no doubt. So I'm like, oh shit. And then I had that like conversation with my mom, right? It's probably I caught like a biff to the back of the head for this, but like I had the conversation with my mom. I'm like, yo, I don't know why all my friends get to wear the Gap T-shirts and I gotta wear the Old Navy ones.
Old Navy, because Old Navy was the bootleg Gap. That's why.
Well, they're owned by the Gap. They're both. I didn't know that until way later. I had no idea that was a fact until way fucking later.
Yeah, Old Navy, Gap, Banana Republic.
Banana Republic, right? So, like, the Gap was, like, the fucking shit. And, like, all, like, the fucking Guidos and, like, all, like, the bullies in the neighborhood, they were all wearing Gap fucking T-shirts and Gap jeans, and shit. And they were wearing Fearless sneakers, right? I had I had the fat fucking Nikes. These motherfuckers were wearing Feelers that were, like, $60 less than my fucking Nikes. And they were acting like they were the fucking hot shit because there was that bravado and benchmark.
Listen, Feelers actually were very popular for a while. I know I had several pairs of Feelers. And the Feeler jackets, you remember those?
They were nice. They were nice. The sneakers were nice too. They're coming back. I seen somebody, where the fuck was I? Me and Paul went out to eat before the Rona lockdown. And there was a dude wearing fresh Feelers. Now, I play in a band down here. And we had a drummer at the beginning who had left the band for another project, and he had come to hang out one day, and he had these dope black and red feelers, like looking like those old school feelers, but they're black, black, with the red feeler check and the feeler logo red on the back with the thin red outline, leather, right? Oh, shit. And I'm like, ooh. I didn't want to get those. I didn't want to sound gay. I didn't want to sound gay and be like, "Where'd you get those shoes?" I'm like, holy shit. I was like, "Yo, I wanted to be like super like, yo, run your shit, homie. Yo, run your shit. Run your shit. Just give me a phone."
I would have been secretly just Googling like red and black feelers, like just to find them because, but feelers were big back in the day. They were good. A lot of people wore them.
Hell yeah, man. Feelers were hot. I think they were hot up until 1995. The big baggy jeans, eyebrow rings. I didn't see a fucking eyebrow ring on anybody until 95. And then I saw a whole fucking shitload of fucking eyebrow rings on people.
I mean, personally, I didn't get my eyebrow pierced until around like 99. So
I
was later.
I want to say the eyebrow ring, like the trend started Probably even earlier than that, because there was that chick in the Pulp Fiction movie. You remember? She called the heroin dealer a pig.
Yeah.
When they went to go up here stuff. So that was 94. I feel like the next year, I seen that in that movie, right? When Patricia Arquette is looking like that. And then the next year, there was like a girl who I was going to high school with, who I went to school with, who was like, she was 14, and her mom let her get an eyebrow piercing. And I was like,
wow.
Oh my God, badass. I was like, she's about to fight somebody. This bitch is tough.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit.
She's about to fight somebody.
I'm like, what the fuck? She was like the first girl, right, to have all the earrings, all of the earrings. You know what I mean, right?
Oh, like all down.
Yeah.
Did she have like underneath her hair shaved? A lot of chicks
did
that shit too.
Yeah. But not my undershave. I had that undershave back then. I had the undershave.
Yeah.
What some people call some people call it this. I don't mean this in a racist way. They call it the Mexican undershave.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I had that hairdo, right? Where it's just down underneath is super tight zero, and the up top is
and then you got like
ponytail. Yeah. Now I sported that hairdo for like, I don't know, about a good 7 years, maybe 95 to 2002. So like I remember the whole head shave, but all those chicks, right? They were borderline hood, borderline hardcore. Like they could listen to hardcore fucking music and listen to fucking hip hop. They were shaving right the bottom end of their and then the ponytail on top.
They still had like you could still cover your hair with it, but
you wouldn't notice
underneath.
it. Like you might not. Yeah, you might not notice it. Hair down, definitely not noticing. But once they pulled that up, I had this chick that really cool girl, lady friend of mine from junior high school and high school. Mm-hmm. She actually, I found out she lives around the corner from me with her family, with her husband and kids. And we used to call her gangster bitch because she used to wear fucking bandanas and shit. And she would have like the long nails, you know, and she would fucking smack her gum. Cool as fuck. She was one of the coolest fucking girls ever to hang out with. And she would do that same shit with the ponytail and the shave underneath. And other girls started doing that too. Like she wasn't, I'm not going to say like, oh, like I think my friends were pioneers or whatever, but it was like you always had that first friend who did it first and then the other people did it after.
Oh, yeah.
So So I had friends of mine who did the undershave and then I did it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that was like around 95. Korn was fucking huge back then. And all those same people who dressed like that, like were listening to fucking Korn. Korn came out. It was fucking huge. PlayStation was huge in 95. And all the good shit that come with PlayStation, Resident Evil. We wouldn't have had the zombie craze without that shit. You know that, right?
Yeah, definitely, of course.
You had Night of the Living Dead and all that stuff, but the way that we, pop culture-wise, like we jump on the zombies is...
Yeah, it's different.
It's with that fucking... thanks a lot, Sledgehammer. You're awesome too. We're getting some comments here.
I can't see comments.
Oh, you could just touch. If you touch down on the bottom of your screen, you could see the chat, private chat.
Oh yeah. I see.
Yeah, you can hit that, and then it should.
I see.
Yeah, and then they come up. You could type in if you want or whatever, but I just like to verbally answer back. It's just so much easier like that.
Okay, yeah, I'm missing all of them. I can't even see them at the same time. That sucks.
So Korn was in 95. All those badass looking motherfuckers were listening to that shit because that was badass back then. And we were all wearing baggy pants at the same time. Korn was a little hip hop and a little death metal. Everybody was like, it had a little bit of the edge of both of that super hardcore sound and that super hip hop, like urban kind of sound. And fucking Korn, even to this day, like they throw a really great show. If you ever get a chance to see them. I used to shit on them because like I said, I used to be a douchebag metalhead fucking teenager who just shit on stuff that was popular. But in hindsight, I get really regretful with that. And I'm like, I should have been like that. Like, there are bands like that I revisit. Like, even with Slipknot, I did that a little bit. And I love Slipknot. I'm a huge Pantera fan, but Slipknot, I've been coming very close. Them and Kill Switch and Lamb of God.
Them a listen.
They have good songs. They got some good girl songs. They got some good girl songs. You might
girl songs.
That's why I ragged on them. And then as an adult, I'm like, stop being a dick. Those songs are good. Stop being a dick. Like I have to tell myself to stop being an asshole. 95 was fucking huge for me. I mean, because like that's when I really was like, I want to fucking play music. And that's when I wanted to do this to myself. 95 was when I made these decisions. I was like, I'm gonna do this.
Fantastic.
It doesn't turn back. Like it's like I didn't do them yet. I didn't get to do them until later on in the 90s, guys. But 95 was when when I turned 18, I'm gonna get a tattoo. And in 95, we were both 14, right? And all this fucking crazy shit was going on in 95. A lot of good movies and icons. Now, TMI, right? But Pamela Anderson.
Oh, Pamela Anderson, come on.
I think I may have sprained my wrist a couple of times in 1995. You know, but I'll go that far, and that's it. That's it. I'll stop there. So you get the idea. But Pamela Anderson was huge, and there's other things that lead into her because of that. Now, everybody loved fucking Baywatch, Playboy, all the fucking things that she did, you know, up to that point. There was a movie called Barbed Wire that she did, and then there was another movie she did that wasn't supposed to come out, that he would not have our porn culture this day if not for that.
Tommy Lee, his dick is huge.
He's
I'm sorry, we're all thinking
like, hey Pam, I love you.
We were like, holy shit.
Hey Pam, I love you. Now this is the thing.
Hepatitis.
I'm going to tell you this, right? With the fucking Pam and Tommy video. Now, I got my first job, and it was at a daily news, like a distributor, like a sales, you know, phone call thing. And the manager, he's like, yo, I just got the tape. We're like, holy shit.
To watch it.
Yo, fuck the quota. He's like, yeah, it's about 25 minutes long, but yo, bro, you see it go all the way in. And we're like, yo, really? So I'm standing next to the... I'm going to segue into a really funny joke, and I'm going to do this joke for you. Now, this fucking dude is standing next to me, and these two lady friends of mine who got me the job, right? They're standing next to me, and we're all watching. And we're watching, and they're like, hey, and I'm like, oh, wow, it's a honeymoon. Oh, they fuck. Okay. Oh, they're on a boat. Oh, they fuck. And this guy's like fucking enthralled. He's like, oh my God, he's fucking packing. This guy's fucking huge. I'm like, you've never seen...
whoa.
I'm like, you've never seen a dick like that before? And he's like, nah, bro. He's like, you watch porn, right? Like, you watch porn, right? He's like, yeah, dude, I fucking totally watch porn, but I've never seen fucking a dong like that, dude. It's fucking huge. And it's just at that part where Tommy Lee fucking goes full in, and it's just all you're looking at is penetration. I'm like, okay. I'm like, whoa, he's getting really in there. It's like the camera's a third party. They're having a threesome. The threesome is Pamela, Tommy Lee, and the camera. Like, that's what's happening at the moment. So you're seeing full penetration, and fucking this guy's like enthralled. And I'm thinking, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, this guy's watched like little dick porn the whole time. I'm like, now... In hindsight, I'm thinking, right, when I'm reminiscing on this moment about how enthralled this guy was, how big Tommy Lee dick is, I'm like, this guy's only watching big dick porn now. And the first thing I think of is fucking Joe the fucking Tiger King saying that fucking shit, which he stole that joke from a comedian, by the way, where he goes, hey, if you watch a porno, do you watch the porno with the big dicks or the little dicks? And the guy goes, well, the big dicks, of course. And he goes, then he ain't that gay. And he goes, then he ain't that gay. So this guy is fucking standing next to me, and I'm thinking, I'm like, yo, this guy is like, yo, I've been waiting my whole pubescent life. At this point, I'm like 16 years old. I probably only had pubic hair at this point for like fucking 4 years, maybe at best, like full bush. And this fucking guy is like totally enthralled by this guy's dick, and I'm waiting for fucking Pamela Anderson to see her boob in motion. Like, because, you know, like, you were just looking at pictures in these fucking porno magazines, and to see Pamela Anderson naked getting fucked, and this guy's, like, in wonder about fucking Tommy Lee's dick, and all I can think of is, like, at this moment, all you can think about is this guy's dick and not Pamela Anderson, the hottest girl on the fucking planet. Like, what the fuck?
Exactly. What the fuck?
I think that guy is not straight. I think it's
my whole thing is, I think, but you know what it is?
No, it's confirmed. I think things totally not straight.
Well, no, but I think what it is that was like the very beginning, not really the beginning, because there were
the Rob Lowe sex tape in the 80s.
Like the first big celebrity
that was the first
porn. It was a celebrity porn.
Both people.
Right.
Yeah.
So everybody's like, oh my God, Pamela Anderson sucking dick. Tommy Lee's dick is gigantic. We're so fascinated by the fact that these two celebrities.
It was on Jay Leno.
Sex.
Yeah, it was on Jay Leno was making jokes about it. It was all over pop culture. That sex tape, that was the first super, like, all right, this is funny sex tape, because the Rob Lowe sex tape in the 80s was suspect because it was like a criminal investigation for it was an underage girl. This is Pamela Anderson, totally
it's legit.
adult, marries Tommy Lee.
Yes.
Total consenting adult. They're both super celebrities, rock star, TV star, and they're married. And this is their honeymoon tape, and everybody's like, oh, shit. And then comedy, it was comedy gold. They're fucking. Everybody's like fucking. It was OJ. It jumped from OJ, which was 94 also, into 95 with the OJ trial. OJ trial was hot in 1995. It went from that being tabloid fucking like ammunition to the Pamela Tommy Lee situation. That was all over. Yo, TMZ was back then. You had the Inquirer, and you remember that shit. You had the Inquirer and the Sun. But if TMZ was back then, fuck, yo, listen, yo, Ray J and fucking Kim K ain't got shit on that fucking sex tape, yo. I'm saying.
No, Kim Kardashian's a lazy bitch. She basically just lays there like, she does nothing. So that Pamela and Tommy is definitely 10 times better than Kim's. Fuck her. Man. She's a fucking lazy rich fuck. She doesn't do shit.
Yeah, Pamela Anderson was like, she's like, this is by sport. This is what I do competitively.
I have trophies.
I fell. I'm back up again.
You see what she looks like now? What a shame. She was a gorgeous girl, man.
They stabbed her too many times. They stabbed her too many times. I mean, she started looking like that. She did start looking like that in 1996. But to cap off 95, a lot of great movies. Oscar-winning, Braveheart. Mel Gibson wasn't totally crazy yet. That was one of my favorite movies. I love Braveheart. Kids. Yeah. Kids. 95 Kids. Cheers to that shit.
All right. Kids was very comparable to how my life was as a teenager.
Oh,
very comparable.
Yo,
the smoking weed, the drinking, all that shit. I was like, wow.
The whole thing. We lived like that. And we lived like that. At that time. We were that age at that time. And those issues were serious. Like, I remember people being worried about STDs, like, seriously catching. And
AIDS,
motherfuckers.
AIDS was still big back then, yeah.
Thankfully, none of my homies caught AIDS. You know what I mean? There was a rumor about one person, but it was like one of those vicious like high school rumors that I know wasn't true. But there were people who you knew, like, you know, like a lot of your friends were close, and you found out, like, not even through gossip, but you found out because your friends would tell you, I caught gonorrhea, or I
or herpes,
you know, people would tell you that shit, and you were like, and it was like people were really worried about that back then, and kids. That was like the underlying plot of the whole and moral of the story, but it was about how reckless kids were and reckless. Yo, we were reckless like that. Yo, you watch that movie now? Hey, you out there who's like 25, watch that movie and be like, oh, I was wild 5 years ago. Be like, no, motherfucker. But we lived like this. We lived like this, motherfucker. We walk into somebody's apartment and they're smoking dip blunts and doing whippets like fucking bikers. These are 15-year-old kids.
Yep.
Bikers do this shit.
Drinking, fucking. Yeah, like the girls are the girls are just whores. Like everybody lived that way.
This guy's on fucking E. This guy's on K. This guy's fucking smoking blunts since fucking 8 a.m. yesterday.
I mean, my group of friends, like we smoked a lot of weed, and we did like mescaline.
Mescaline,
you know what I mean?
or acid,
we did like
or
shit
acid
like that.
The same here.
I didn't get into acid. I didn't get into I didn't get into acid or E until like 97-ish.
Yeah, that was regional. Like, by where you were, it was more like South Queens and that part of like Brooklyn, like by East New York and shit like that. Was like that's when you could get that. In Bensonhurst and Bay Ridge, you were able to get acid, paper, blotter paper. You were able to get all that stuff. That was all that around. You used to carry it around in the small pocket of your JanSport.
Yep, JanSport. Oh,
you used to carry that shit in a small pocket. Oh,
how
strings?
Many strings did you have, bitch? My shit was like huge.
Okay.
I had like the little pacifiers.
A wad. It was a wad, right? And you had the chain with the pacifiers. The chain with the pacifiers.
People used to steal them.
Yeah.
People used to steal your strings. Remember that shit?
I was A1 thief. Do you know what I used to do? I used to know how to get the string out, right? And the inside string out, that would be a fluffy foam string, and I'd have multicolored strings on my bag, and I'd take the insides out and leave the outside shell of the string on the guy's bag so they didn't think that they were stolen.
Shit.
I figured that out later on, that you could take them out.
Wow.
So you used to buy strings. It was $1. You could get, I think, you could get 5
like
strings.
6 of them, I think.
6 for $1, right? Yeah. If you bought them individually, they were 20 cents a piece or something like that, right?
Sports.
So and I got robbed 3 times straight up for the strings on my JanSport. One time was on the DL. Second time, they just took my strings and didn't even take my JanSport because I had it all tagged up. My JanSport was all tagged.
Yep.
The third JanSport, which I'm pretty sure I caught a fucking little bit of a smacking around by my mother when I was a kid. My mom, for my birthday, got me a leather bottom JanSport, right? Full leather bottom JanSport.
Those were the shit.
Used to go to the baseball fields in Coney Island, 4 Diamonds, and we used to go and play dirt lot baseball. Like a dozen of my friends would go and play baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Now I had 2 baseball gloves in my bag. I had a Ken Griffey Jr. glove and I had a catcher's mitt. And I had like some school papers that I just didn't take out. It was the end of the school year, right? June. My birthday's around May.
So they're just all like crumpled in there. And
shit. This shit is brand new. I bring it to the park. My mom's like, like if you lose this thing, I'll kick your ass. I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna lose it. I fucking leave the house a dozen times. I get to the park. I'm on the overpass coming over the Belt Parkway going home to walk up Cropsey Avenue, fucking 3 miles to my house. And these kids stop us at Cropsey Park on like by 20th Avenue. And the motherfucker took a knife, stuck it to my fucking soft side, right? He's like, run your shit. That's all I heard. I was like,
it's probably you, Jonathan. My friend Jonathan is watching right now. It's probably his bitch ass. But then he's a little younger than we are, though, so maybe not.
No, this dude was older than me. This guy was.
Love you, John.
I was like, love you, John. Yeah,
you met Jonathan.
I met John.
You met Jonathan. You met him. Yeah.
Yeah. He's metalhead homie, right? Boricua, right? Yeah. What's up? Yeah. What's going on, John? He's watching.
There he is. Yeah.
Hit like and subscribe, homie. So
that's my boy right there.
This guy didn't stab me, but he caught me with the knife. And the other big dude fucking slapped my buddy. My buddy's ear started bleeding. He hit the floor, started crying. I was like, rolled my eyes. I dropped my bag. I dropped my bag because I knew what he said. He said, run your shit. I already started with my thumbs. I was like, oh, okay. He opened up my JanSport with the so many strings. I had like on one zipper, they were like fucking fat fucking wads of string. He opened up the bag. The 2 pieces of school papers came out with the 2 baseball gloves, and he fucking booked it with my bag, right? The baseball gloves in the bag were worth more than the bag itself twofold.
Yeah, definitely.
The catcher's mitt by itself was like a fucking close to $200 catcher's mitt.
That's a shame,
legit MLB catcher's mitt. The bag was probably like $1 back then, and it was a birthday present, so my mom blew the $100 on me. And I had to keep it from her for a couple of days, and then I had to tell her what happened. And I think she may have gotten a little serious with me, people.
Yeah, probably. Because JanSports, they were expensive, especially the leather bottom ones. I mean, I always had just the regular, like the one color, like fabric one. Because I like those. Like, I didn't really like the leather ones, but
they were so simple. They were so simple. They were like the simplest book bag, man. And they were cool. They came in different colors. They were fashionable with everything. Like, you could literally...
You can match everything to them.
With everything to them. Hell yeah, man.
But I remember, like, when I first started high school, I went to South Shore. And back then, when I first started South Shore, there was a lot of gangs. There was a lot of stabbings, a lot of shit. You know, it was pretty hood. And I was the biggest herb. I was such a herb.
You were waiting to say herb the whole fucking time.
Hell yeah. I was the biggest herb when I went into high school. And then I started to get a little popular. I started to hang out with people. I started smoking weed. And it took me so long to get my JanSport tagged. I was like, somebody please take my JanSport.
Somebody take my JanSport.
Finally, somebody tagged my JanSport. That was it. I don't know why, but like my popularity went through the fucking roof, and I was just like, yes, you know.
You're cool now.
Exactly.
You're cool now.
Yeah.
96,
you know,
96 everybody was still trolling around in 96 with JanSports. Everybody was still wearing JanSport. I had a JanSport. I had to break out the older one after I and that JanSport lasted me. They lasted a long time too. I had that shit. My mom was like, after she found out what happened, she was like, all right, you're taking that old one out of the closet and you're going to use that one now. That's your book bag until I say. That's the old dirty one. Wait. Yo, that shit went through the rest of junior high school, right? That last, and that next year of junior high school. And 2 years of high school after that, it ended up getting, in 96, it got patched the fuck up. I had like a Nirvana patch, a Pantera patch, a Metallica patch, an Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
I had it all patched up. And 96, a lot of things fucking changed in 96 as far as like music goes and stuff like that, because that whole grunge thing sort of went out the way. And in 96, like that like people calling hip hop gangster rap, they were all corrected because hip hop just became its own like general entity.
Yeah, that was more like the West Coast shit anyway. Like we didn't have gangster rap like
New York,
here.
right? That's what I'm saying. Not New York. Not New York. It wasn't like that.
We had hip hop.
Yeah.
It was different.
It was
like we
different.
had rap. Yeah, there was rap and then there was hip hop. It was different because there were groups like Onyx was more considered rap. A Tribe.
They were hardcore though. They were like hardcore though. I feel they were hardcore.
They were.
Like, Wu-Tang was hardcore.
Was,
Yeah.
Wu-Tang, and then there was like
Fuck Up was a rough record. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was like Naughty by Nature. They like De La Soul. There was so many different kinds of like hip hop and rap genres almost. Like they almost had their own like categories. It was so weird, the way
West Coast West Coast at that time probably was a little bit more gangster. Like that's just the vibe that they have. And New York's hip hop was more just street. It was just what was happening in the city. It was more about the city. And other artists too from other cities. Speaking about one artist from Philadelphia, not too far from New York, but Fresh Prince, Will Smith, made the transition in 1996 from TV star rapper to movie star. In 96, that they canceled Fresh Prince, and he did Independence Day.
Oh, Independence Day. Okay.
Yeah, then Men in Black, and then everything else. Mm-hmm. Then he did all the movies. And he was fucking this person, that person. He was Muhammad Ali. He married Jada Pinkett. You know what I mean? Like, and it was just like
I just watched Bad Boys 2 yesterday too. I fucking love Will Smith.
He's so good. Will Smith is great. I love Will Smith, and I loved Will Smith even from back then. I loved Will Smith when my sister was playing him and DJ Jazzy Jeff in 1988. Like I loved him from that point, and even when he was telling like Eminem, chill with the curse words, and Eminem was like, "Fuck you." Like I'm like, yeah, dude, stop being a dad about it. You're still cool, but don't tell nobody to curse in hip hop, man. It's not cool.
Exactly. Like that's
you just lost all your street cred.
Not right. Exactly. Like now you're a herb now.
Yeah, I'm like you're a herb. You're a herb. This is why your mom sent you to Bel Air, bitch.
Exactly, but it's true.
But 96 was fucking dope for hip hop too, because one of my favorite artists of all time, hip hop artists, Busta Rhymes came out with his debut album that year, and he officially broke his ties with the Tribe Called Quest. And woo-ha, I was the only. I got you all in check. Got your head not spinning, go to break your neck. Go woo-ha, got you all in check.
That was my shit.
I love that song, and fucking, I was the only white dude in all Bensonhurst that was literally walking up and down the street singing this shit. My friends thought I was crazy, and I got made fun of for liking Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes had a lot of staying power. And he was a fast motherfucker, dude. That guy had fucking speed.
Yeah, holy shit!
And his freestyle, when he did the freestyle on I think he was on what's the Charlemagne, fucking the morning show. On what radio station is that in New York? Charlemagne the God. It's not Hot 97. It's not. It's Power 101. Power 101. Yeah. He was on. Yeah, he was on an interview, and he spit a freestyle, and he was like a machine gun. I was like, what the?
He's crazy.
I'm like, oh, yo, no beat. Like this guy's like an on time, and he was that back then. I knew of him in Tribe. You know what I mean? And I knew of him and Q-Tip, and I knew dude, his verse in fucking Scenario. I was like, he was the more aggressive voice. Like Q-Tip was a little bit more soft, like a Q-Tip, like Cotton Swab.
Yeah, he's very soft,
but smooth. I love Q-Tip, but the thing is, Busta Rhymes is like, and I was like, holy shit.
He's all over the place,
and he's aggressive, and I'm like, I like that aggressive sound in a hip hop artist. In '96,
he's raw, like
In '96, he came out with that fucking debut album. A lot of stuff got heavy that year. Fucking Marilyn Manson, they debuted their first album in '94, but in '96 they had Antichrist Superstar with Beautiful People, which motherfuckers who weren't even into that kind of music you heard it. You heard it. If you did not want to listen to Marilyn Manson, and Marilyn Manson was another one of those bands that I shit on throughout high school because I was a pretentious metalhead. But in hindsight, I appreciate Marilyn Manson a lot, and all the people that I made fun of, all my old school friends who I made fun of for listening to them. You know, he blew up, and it changed the way a lot of things, went. People were more interested in stuff that had shock value, and it sort of made people realize that there was another side to pop culture and music. Goth people burst on the radar, even though they were around from the 80s, and even though a lot of them don't like to have him take credit, because a lot of goth people are like, fuck Marilyn Manson, but then a whole bunch of people are like, they like him. It's divided amongst those motherfuckers. But people who knew who they were after that, like, you knew who these fucking black clothes wearing motherfuckers were after Marilyn Manson. 96 also was huge for bands like Oasis, who I fucking hate. I Oasis.
I love Oasis.
But a lot of people love them. A lot of people love them. They wrote a lot of catchy songs.
Isn't that also like Candlebox? Like maybe they came around that time
That was maybe the year before. The Candlebox might have been 94, 95.
Yeah.
But they were around that era too, like that, what was Matchbox 20? Like they came out around
I love Matchbox 20.
Who else? I fucking wrote somebody down here. Hold on a second.
Let's not forget. I wanted to mention. Speaking of fast rappers, Bone Thugs and Harmony. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, Bone Thugs.
Holy
Bone Thugs was 96 also. Yeah.
Crazy. Crazy. I fucking love Bone Thugs and Harmony.
And they had like an R&B vibe to them too. They sang really well. Sang, not just rap, but there was
Yeah, and they sang. But there was a couple of them that were also like fast spitters, I think it was Crazy Bone, and I forget the light skin dude, because I think Crazy Bone was the one with the braids. The light skin dude, I forget
the skinny guy with the big hair, right? The light skin guy.
Yeah, there was Crazy Bone, Lazy Bone. I forget the other two.
I gotta ask my friend. I have a buddy of mine who I grew up with. He lived in Brooklyn, like same as us. He grew up same age as us. And he ended up moving to Louisiana and then moved back to New York, but moved up to Rockland County. And he was into Bone Thugs. Like he knew all their names and shit. Yeah, I gotta.
They were different too. They had a different.
The Macarena came out that year.
I fucking hate that song. So retarded.
Yeah, I know. I knew how to do the Macarena because somebody dared me to learn it.
Did.
There's like a high dare. I was like, all right, fuck it. I'll learn the Macarena. 96 was an awesome year. That was the year I moved to Egypt. So it was like, it's a little bit of a weird year for me. Yeah. I lived there for a year, by the way, people. I lived in Egypt from 1996 to 1997, but that's for another episode. Anyway, so I was wearing fucking Airwalks and Vans and Timberlands. Now, to this day, is a New York City staple. I know that they came on the radar a little earlier than 96, but Timberlands were a staple as far as solid. You were New York dead ass with Timbs.
All I wore. Yeah, dead ass.
1996. Dead ass. The first time, talking about slang, first time I used the term dead ass was probably 1996. I didn't refer to anything being dead ass, fat ass, or anything until 96. And so dead ass is definitely
people don't say that though.
Hell yeah, motherfuckers are dead ass. Motherfuckers are dead ass with their new era fitted, with their Timbs, and with their fucking dead ass. Yo, B. I bet. But 96 was an awesome year. Yankees won the World Series that year and started that second dynasty. And as a Met fan, and I'm a Met fan, I enjoyed that the Yankees were having that kind of fucking exposure. But the sad part, even though with the happy of being a New Yorker and having that Yankees vibe around that year, like the Rangers vibe, even though I'm not a hockey fan, I'm not a Yankees fan, it was still great to have that around. Tupac was killed that year. And that's a very sad thing. When I heard that, I was like, nah, this guy's going to pull through. They shot him before. This guy's bulletproof. And it was like, nope, not this time. He died. And that was the first super serious tragedy for the hip hop community. Like, as far as like people realizing the mortality of these superstars, and it's not just, one-hit wonder guy, maybe passed away or something like that.
Right.
This is a guy who was a voice of a generation, who was smart as fuck.
Another icon, another one, you know.
He was ready. I'm telling you, he would have been doing serious movies. He would have been like what Mos Def does and does serious movies and serious roles.
Honestly,
he would have been doing shit like that.
At this point, yeah, like he definitely would have been doing that. But I think at this point, or maybe even earlier than now, I think he would have gotten into politics 100%.
Oh, hell yeah, yeah. Somebody brought that up. Just like 4 years ago, somebody said that. I totally agree. Yeah, I'm surprised you said that.
Yeah, because hell yeah. He was so about, you know, like equality and civil rights and just how Black people were oppressed, and he like his songs, just listening to his songs, you're like, damn, you don't look at it like that unless it's through the eyes of a Black man that went through all this shit. So
and the climate,
amazing.
You know what I mean? The climate with how things are now and stuff, you know what I mean? He definitely would have. And that was really sad, you know, and I hate to segue into 1997 like this because there's also another sad occasion that happened in 97. But 1997, I remember seeing him, Tupac, in music videos, and he had this little thing clipped to his fucking belt, and I wanted that little thing clipped to my belt, and it wasn't a fucking Glock. It was, even though I do own a Glock, it was not a Glock. It was a beeper. I had a beeper clipped to my fucking pants at all times for like 4 or 5 years after that.
Same.
I still have a beeper somewhere in the garage where I found those jeans and where I found that fucking starter cap.
You found all your relics.
The relics and the fucking beepers. I used to love getting beeped. You know what I mean? I used to love getting beeped and then being beeped or where the fucking party was at. Because there was always like a fucking rave going on. Motherfuckers throwing outlaw rave in downtown Brooklyn. Let's get on the train and go. I didn't give a fuck, bro. I wasn't even into techno, but I would go anyway. Because the music was really bumping. The music was bumping and everybody was fucked up and somebody was selling something.
Yep.
Except it was weird. You go to a rave and the drugs were cheap, but the water was expensive.
Yeah, I don't know. I never understood that. Well, probably the drugs were cheap because everybody was on ecstasy, and everybody knows if you've ever done it, you need a lot of fucking water. So they knew. They were like, oh, we're going to sell the water mad expensive, sell the E cheap, let these motherfuckers just roll their asses off all night, and here's your fucking $10 bottle of water, you fucking drug addict.
Now at these raves, right? Like, yeah, like I just said, you know, like, yo, they would have that was their scheme. You'd be like...
Just woo! Oh man!
I do like the foot skip with the big wide legs on and stuff. But at least figured out that scheme, right? The water scheme. I knew these motherfuckers are thirsty at raves, but you know things you would see at a rave. Now, what I used to see a lot of at raves, I used to see tribal tattoos because everybody take their shirts off. So you fucking a lot of these cheesy ass 90s tribal tattoos, which was a staple of the 90s. The only one I have from the 90s is this guy, this triangle guy.
I was going to say, I'm guilty. I have 2 tribals. So.
It's the only one I have. That's the only one from the 90s I have. So I have that tribal tattoo, so I'm guilty. But there were guys who would like do their whole bodies, like dude, motherfuckers.
Their shoulders, their backs,
they double down. They double down. Like the tribals that we have, we could probably get covered up. But these dudes are like full body tattoos at the rave, fucking buying $20 bottles of water. 1997, St. Ides. I almost said Old Ides. Old E and St. Ides. You would have to sneak into the fucking... They would let you bring your 40 ounces into the rave, but you couldn't buy any booze at the rave. So you'd be bringing your Old E and your fucking St. Ides and your St. Ides Special Brew and your Bud Ice.
Special Brew, Zima.
Special Brew, Zima. Your fucking 22 of Zima. Bringing that shit. Your Bartles and James. They would let you come in sometimes. Yeah, they would let you sometimes. They'd let you come in with a cooler if it was like one of those outlaws, like those, like you know. And there was no social networking or fucking internet or email. You knew how to get there through fucking beepers and cell phones. Yep. That's why I was saying you segued that shit with the beeper because you checked the beeper. You knew where the fucking party was at. Motherfuckers were showing up with speakers with their DJ equipment, and they were ready to fucking party in 1997. 1997.
And then there were the beeper. Let's just go back to the beepers for a second. How everybody would be able to, like, with the codes 143. You'd be able to type asshole, go to hell, all kinds of crazy shit, you know. But they had all the codes, you know. Like,
fuck you,
fuck you,
codes, I love you.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, or I would do 1886, meant to meet on the corner of 18th and 86th. All my homies knew what that meant. All my homies knew that we were meeting up at the parking lot by the library on 18th and 86th, and everybody knew that that's where the meet spot was. And if I beeped 5 people 1886, I'd be in the parking lot. Half hour later, there'd be 40 fucking people there.
Yeah,
Legit,
yeah,
like no exaggeration, people. We were very efficient meeting up. Now you text 5 people, you're lucky if you get one person to show up.
Yeah, no, you're lucky if you get one person to fucking answer. Nobody answers text messages anymore.
Even teenagers, and this isn't even us being old ass fucking adults. Like, these are teenagers. Like, you're lucky if you get one person. In 97, beepers were really fucking essential, though, because it got your point across and you were able to be DL. I had my own code because my nickname from back in the day, if you flip your beeper upside down, you could spell my nickname in the numbers. Like, in plain English.
I had a friend like that,
I'm not going to tell you my nickname, though, because you're going to have to fucking research, you fucking people out there in internet land. Anyway, 97, chilling on the street, CD boomboxes, somebody on the stoop. That was still going on. That was still the culture that was out there. You still sort of have that in New York, but with the COVID-19 that shit, you know what I mean? Like, maybe people rebelling like that, but it's something that saddens me that was my favorite time to hang out, was on the stoop in the summer with the fucking boombox, with your homies, with cheap beer, cheap 22 ounces, smoking fucking CD weed. Smoking CD weed out of a fucking, like, a dry-ass Philly. Who gave a shit? You were in heaven anyway.
Dry-ass Philly.
Dry-ass Philly. That shit cracked 3 times, yo. Wrap that shit in the paper, son. What are you doing? Anyway, 97, CD boomboxes. But this is the thing about 97. 2 things. One thing that you could still do, and one thing that was like the dawn of a new age. One thing in 97 that you could still do is that, you know, with $10, you could go and hang out the whole night with your homies. $10 is going to get you a pack of Marlboros or Newports for $2.50. A 40 ounce of fucking Budweiser was $2.50, and your $5
weed,
chip down on Bud, and that's it, homie. You were chilling the whole night.
Yeah, especially if you're drinking Old E or you know, St. Ides. That's malt liquor. If you're drinking a 40 of that, you're fucked up. Especially if you're gonna smoke weed with it. Forget it. You're fucked up the whole night. That was good times.
That year was the segue too, right? Because that was the last time you could do something like that. But the beepers segued into AOL and chat rooms. In 97, I didn't have a computer yet until 98. But 97, I had half my friends, their families had computers, and they were all chatting.
You always go to your friends' houses.
In the chat room.
That fucking noise, that you had to hear when you were connecting to AOL, that shit was insane.
Oh,
nobody will know.
We have to go on Rotten.com right now.
Yeah, Rotten. There were so many, like, YouTube, I think, had just came out around that time.
Maybe it was a little later than that, though. It might have been 2000. It might have been like a couple years later than that. But there were sites that you could watch videos on. They had Napster came out before YouTube was a thing, and Napster was around the next year in 98, which is the segue, because that's like AOL and then Napster. 98, Napster was really big. And in 98, there were a lot of things that happened. In 98, I left high school. I graduated high school. And it was like that first feeling of like being like, okay, I could be an adult and maybe do things on my own. I tried to do my taxes on my own that year. I said, Ma, I could.
That's not happening.
I did like the short form, and like my mom was like, you know, but I still have to claim you or whatever. And I was like, okay, fine. So she and
because you're still thought I was a big boy.
Yeah.
Nope.
So like, you know, like it was an important year. I mean, for me as far as it, but there was still a lot of adult shit going on. Like, I mean, not adult, non-adult shit going on. You know, as far as like the news was pretty much at that time, everybody was trying to impeach fucking Bill Clinton because he caught a blowjob underneath the desk. And so,
first of all, can we give 2 shits that he was getting a blowjob? He was running the shit out of this country. Are you fucking kidding me? He can get all the blowjobs he wants. Leave him alone. God damn
it! He's the president.
That made me mad.
Listen, I said this. And I'm like, in hindsight, if it was a female president, I don't give a fuck who's eating her pussy. I really don't give a shit, man. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck who's hanging on the side. All I care about is that my taxes are right and that the policy is the way that I want it to be and that you're fair to the people and that we're safe and everything's in line and in check.
Economy's strong. Yeah, you got to make sure all that shit's in check.
I don't give a fuck about any of that other shit. Like, really, honestly, in hindsight also, Epstein didn't do it. And who the fuck knows who was involved or whatever? I'm not saying Hillary was involved or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, who the fuck knows? But going back to that, the Bill and Monica thing was like, yo, they could really make that big of a deal. I was a teenager almost getting ready to vote. Like, I'm getting ready to vote. And I'm like, they can make a big deal about a blowjob. And I was like, it's not that big of a deal. Not thinking from a chauvinist point of view. I'm not trying to think of a chauvinist point. Trying to think of like, this is what you're spending all of our tax money on. It's to fucking persecute him on a blowjob.
Yeah.
Not from a prostitute.
Right. From an intern. A nice wholesome intern that got jizzed on. Her
a regular ass person. And she's just, let her get hers too, man. Who gives a shit, man? Maybe she enjoyed it. Let's not fucking make a fucking big thing about it and fucking waste all that money. And I was thinking about that back then. And I wasn't even, I want to say this, back then I wasn't even swaying left or right. Back then. I didn't even know. I still don't know where the fuck I am. I don't know where the fuck I am right now. That could be because of the whiskey. But I'm just saying, like, I still don't know. Like, but all that turmoil between Republican and Democrat that we still see today still goes on from that gaslight. Like, they lit that fire then. Bill and Monica is when they lit that fire. The blowjob started that inferno going through Bush and Gore, and then Bush and fucking and Kerry, and then again with Obama and fucking and then now with Trump and fucking and Biden, and it's like that whole battle started really with that mudslinging with the Bill and Monica jizzy fucking blue dress. It all started then. In 1998, they were all over the TV because the OJ trial was done. Nobody was paying attention to all that shit. And nobody was paying attention to all the other stuff that was going on. Everybody was paying attention to this fucking blowjob and whether or not he was going to get kicked out. And fucking...
I don't see the big deal about the blowjob. I'm sorry.
Nah, but we remember it, though. And it's fucking hilarious. Every time I think back at it, I laugh. I'm like, that's some funny shit. If you said this in a movie and I totally forgot that this happened in real life, I would be dying right now. I'd be dying.
Yeah.
Something else that would have been in a movie too. I don't know if you remember it so much, but there was the home run fucking race with Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that, no.
They had a heated fucking battle, and the first thing that brought to everybody's attention that, wait a minute, I think these baseball players are shooting steroids.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
These guys look fucking gigantic, and they're like, and it was every night somebody was hitting a home run. It was all over the TV. Anyway, that's a little bit of a pop culture reference. I'm not going to get into it.
I do remember the steroids thing. I remember that, yeah, but I don't remember like that whole.
That was also the beginning of that because the steroids thing ended up going into the early 2000s, and everybody else got accused. But nobody was suspicious until that baseball season. When these guys are hitting one home run after the next, and everybody's like, wait, hold on a second. Nobody was hitting this many last year. What the fuck, man?
What happened? I just want to mention who's Sledgehammer in the comments. Do you know who that is?
Oh, I have no idea. What up, Sledgehammer?
Whoever that is bringing up a lot of nostalgia. So I just went to the comments real quick.
Lugs? Yo, I remember Lugs. Holy fucking crap.
I was just looking through and I was like, yo, whoever this is really bringing up a lot of shit. I just wanted to mention.
If you're saying Cake is she's going for distance. She's going for she's all alone in a right I remember that, yeah. What up, Sledgehammer? Nicole! What up, Nicole? What's happening, homegirl? Nicole James in the house?
Oh, what's up?
So, all right, it was a blue dress, Mike.
Okay, commenting a lot, too.
Yeah, Mark's supposed to be going live soon, so I should probably wrap this up before he gets mad. Mark's gonna get mad,
he's going live right now.
Oh man! All right, so we only
or
got
9:30.
I'm not going to cut it off soon yet. We only got one more year left, but
We're good.
Let's finish 1998 because I love that year.
Yeah.
That year I had a very good time that year. That year I fucking went on my first spring break trip that my mom let me go on. Yeah. It didn't really go too well, and the homie that we were going to visit like got into a fight with us, and we were in this hotel and we were supposed to be spending the night at his house, and it was weird. It was totally weird. The weather wasn't good at all. Like it was like fucking so fucked up. It was so bad, 98. But 98, it was like that was like the first trip I ever gone alone without my parents. Like I actually got to and
like
they let me
venture
go
off on your own.
to another.
Wow, where'd you go? Where'd you go?
Virginia Beach or something like that.
Virginia Beach. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what was weird was we were gonna go to South Carolina. And that weekend in South Carolina, it was 89 degrees, but in Virginia Beach, it was like fucking 62.
Ah,
yeah,
that sucks. The weather sucked. Your friends sucked. Everything sucked.
I would have been cool with it if it was like 70, 80s. But, like 1998, we had that whole fucking baseball thing and the fucking blowjob. Limp Bizkit debuted in 1998. We all got to learn what Limp Bizkit was.
Yo, I fucking love Limp Bizkit. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
Hey, listen, to each his own, man. Limp Bizkit was huge. They were a fucking juggernaut, and Korn introduced them onto the scene as far as like giving them a segue for that style, genre-wise to get into. But everybody
like
jumped.
Hippy, the hip hop rock.
But everybody jumped on the Limp Bizkit bandwagon. They were huge. Fred Durst was a fucking icon, and he was hilarious and had a lot of back talk. He did a song with Method Man, you remember? He did that song with Method Man. And then he had the back and forth with fucking Eminem. Eminem made fun of him in the song.
Eminem destroyed him.
Eminem, of course, he destroys everybody.
I was just going to say that. He destroys everybody.
TRL was huge, and that's how we learned about all these fucking people. It was fucking TRL. Watching Carson Daly, like, every day, countdown, I knew it was rigged, but when they started giving recognition to heavier bands, I was like, all right, I know it's rigged, but you guys sort of are pumping this shit, so I'll stick around for a little while and watch it.
But that's what MTV was MTV still. It wasn't about
music.
These fucking reality shows. Like, everything's reality shows now. Back then, you could still turn on MTV, and even though TRL was on and The Real World and all these other dumb shows, but you still watched videos. Like, that's one thing. Also, this is what I forgot to mention. Video, music, box.
Oh shit! Video music box. Holy
video music box.
That's right. Public access. Yo, they play all the obscure shit, man. You'd get fucking weird ass shit, weird ass videos at random. Some of them were hip hop, some of them were not. It was fucking
reggae.
Good.
They played a lot of shit.
Yeah, I think the first time I seen a Shabba Ranks video was on Video Music Box.
Shabba. That's what I'm saying.
Shabba.
That's what I'm saying. They would play all the shit that like MTV didn't or VH1. Like they didn't play that stuff for the most part. But like Video Music Box would play like the gritty street, dirty ass, grimy ass videos that totally you wanted to see.
Well, that's because the next point I wanted to make about 1998 was all these rappers were making serious fucking bank. These motherfuckers were making crazy money and they were super commercial. So they were all over the MTV, VH1, BET. These guys were getting super play. And like that's why Video Music Box had that niche because like all that like dirty, like street, like fucking
like you know what? MTV
bare bones shit.
Right, like MTV wouldn't really play Bring the Pain because that video was very like, just mad grimy, mad street. You know what I mean? So like at least you can go on Video Music Box and say, oh, I'm going to watch some fucking Wu-Tang now. They finally played Bring the Pain. You're waiting for, maybe some fucking, I'm trying to think like the shit that they would play just, like I said, like a lot of like the reggae shit and like some of the underground hip hop stuff that nobody really knew yet, like the up and comers, they would really
play,
good shit.
They'd play Nas and stuff like that. They'd play some serious.
Oh yeah, Nas, yeah.
Yeah, they would. I mean, but that would probably be the most popular they would get. But that was because that still had that kind of air, like to the vibe of the music wasn't polished or super bling, But to cap off 1998, there are three things that I want us to remember. One of them are Oakley fucking sunglasses that everybody was fucking wearing, right? Big ass wallet chain. 4 things then. Tongue rings. Everybody started fucking up the back of their teeth with those motherfuckers. And Tamagotchis or Gigapets. Do you guys remember? You guys remember Gigapets?
Tamagotchi.
Yo,
I had Tamagotchi.
Yeah, they're both the same, but my fucking Gigapet or my Tamagotchi, I had a Tamagotchi, that motherfucker died, I reset that motherfucker like 3 times. But I had one Tamagotchi, yo, I had this guy for like 9 months. Yo, I had this
and you took care of that shit.
Was a beast. This guy died of the program just said, it stopped on me. They killed him on me. He was the super most healthiest fucking little turtle guy, and the guy died.
Shit.
He died because they said no more. I was off this turtle's ass. Yo, dude, I was like how people are with cell phones now, just beat it, that motherfucker every 5 minutes. The program said no more, bro.
Around that time, that was amazing. Around that time, we also had the Spice Girls, Backstreet Boys, and NSYNC.
Boy bands!
Boy bands.
98 Degrees.
Hanson, 98 Degrees. But I think Hanson was like the first boy band, right?
Bop. They were like, you could call them a boy band because they were all boy bands and they were super poppy.
They were pretty.
They were
mad pretty.
But Backstreet Boys, actually, you know what? For the 90s, yeah, maybe Hanson. But the thing is, New Kids on the Block sort of segued into 1990 a little bit, but they were late.
New Kids on the Block. How can I forget
OTB and New Edition, Menudo, like they were boy bands too.
True.
But for the 90s,
we're talking about
the Kings were Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, and they.
Yeah.
I mean, Justin Timberlake was the most famous out of the whole bunch, you know, and obviously like all the Disney.
Britney
Spears,
Christina Aguilera, they were all Disney. Yep.
Yeah, like they all fucking made it because of that. You know, and that's all 90s, all product from the 90s. Like Britney Spears also going into 1999, which is the next year. These boy bands were huge. Britney Spears was fucking huge. Pop music was making a fucking super. None have seen since the 80s. The 80s was the last time you seen that kind of pop music surge. In 1999, Britney Spears, NSYNC, fucking Brandy,
Destiny's
Child, fucking Beyonce, being who Beyonce is, Destiny's Child with Kelly Rowland, like they were pop music fucking gold.
They were amazing.
Pop music was a massive force back in 1999. I mean, you did have like all of the fucking huge festivals, rock festivals were still going on. Lollapalooza was a big thing throughout the 90s. Ozfest was a big thing throughout the late 90s. And you had a Woodstock 99, which were all rock bands for the most part. But king of the 1999 music world is pop music as far as TRL says, because TRL was overwhelmed. They kicked Korn and Limp Bizkit out. They kicked all that shit out. Method Man was kicked out. This person kicked out. That person kicked out. Everybody kicked out, except for you know the pop groups. I mean, Christina Aguilera. They were all reigning fucking strong in 1999. Yeah. But there was somebody who was going to break that fucking party up, and they did. And he made fun of everybody. And he debuted in 1999 with the Slim Shady LP, and that's Eminem. Eminem broke 1999 wide open. That summer was like, my name is who? Who the fuck is this guy?
My name is And let me tell you something. When I first heard that song, this kid that we all used to hang out with in the neighborhood, he drove a Grand National and an IROC. So he had like bumping systems, right? So like he would roll up in his fucking Grand National playing that song, and all I would hear is "My name is," and I was like, "Ew!" Like at first, I fucking hated Eminem. I couldn't stand him. Then I started to actually listen to his music, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? He's actually really good." But that song,
Dr. Dre saw something. Because you know what? That was the radio song, and it sort of cheesed him out a little bit, but it's clever as fuck. Like the thing is, like when you listen to it, you listen back to it. There's a lot of brain power goes into making his lyrics and stuff, and still to this day, even though he is outdated, and young rappers like to fucking diss on him and stuff like that.
He's getting old.
We all get old, but the thing is, he's still, as far as his skill level, he's still extremely skilled. You know,
yeah. Did you hear his album? His latest one? It's mad good.
And it may be partial because of our age, you know, but I don't give a fuck, man. He's still fucking got it. He's still, I don't give a fuck. And this is the thing with Eminem. That year, there was an idea that was going around with like the vibe, and the vibe was 1999 and the fuck it attitude, and everybody had a fuck it attitude because of Y2K, and we were all fucking worried about, you know, like what the fuck was gonna happen next. Like I said earlier on, before we even got into fucking going live, like I thought Terminator was going to happen. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I thought it was going to be some serious Judgment Day shit, Terminator 2 style. And Y2K, what it did was it made everybody live our lives. We all lived our lives in the 90s to the most 90s. Like we really lived to the fucking fullest extent of the 1990s that year. And I had probably the best New Year's party ever. Me and my friends put together a New Year's party that was unrivaled to anything else that we had done before.
Everybody, yeah.
We've thrown out Y2K parties were the best. It was the best New Year's, and we were all blasting Prince, even though that song was almost 20 years old. We were still, everybody was blasting Prince. We were all fucking living to it was the last day. And it was probably one of the best New Year's parties ever. Like, I think it was,
Because we had a reason, because we thought that there was going to be, you know, pandemonium. Like, we thought we were going to die. All of us thought that it was going to be over. So, you know, I mean, looking back, I wish that we had that same situation going on now where nothing fucking happened.
I was just going to say that. When I wrote this down, Ann, and I wrote down the Y2K leading into the best New Year's party, and I was like, this is a bullet point that's like serious. Like, it's funny, but it's serious because it's like we didn't get that forewarning to have that. The last New Year's that we had was the last New Year's before this bullshit. We don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to give doomsday predictions because I think we're going to come out on a good side. I think we're going to come out on the better end of this. But the problem is shit's going to be different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And reminiscing and in the comparison, like you're saying, and you bring up a really good point with the whole living like it was, you know, and it's sad that we didn't get that opportunity now. But just to think that we had that back then, and even something now we could say 20-something years ago. Could you fucking believe that shit?
Well, do you also, I don't know if you remember this, but this was maybe 2012? I want to say maybe there was that day, it was your birthday. I remember we had like an end of the world party for you in Paula's backyard in you guys' old house. That day, it was supposed to be like the end of the world. And I remember you were like, it's my birthday. I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
So we had something like that. Yeah. It was what, 2012?
Yeah.
2010-ish? I want to say it was around then.
Well, I don't know. It was 2012. I think it was, we had like a 31st birthday party before we bought the house from her mom. We threw that party when her mom was still living there. And I feel like it was supposed to be, they were saying like the Mayan calendar ends on that day, but they weren't sure because of the way that the Christian calendar goes and all that shit. And I was like, and I said that. Yeah, I did. I was like, fuck that shit. They think the world's going to end. Fuck. Yeah, we did sort of have a moment like that. And the thing is,
nothing happened.
Nothing happened. And we had a lot of moments like that, but it's like thoughts like that you got to remember that it wasn't necessarily the way that you remember it. It might have been that epic, but the thing is, in comparison to how it is now, you could still easily have that many moments.
I hope so. I mean, that's the thing. Like with everything that's going on now, like, you know, when like talking about the 90s, it was such a different time back then. It was simple. It wasn't innocent, but it was very simple. And I felt like we just had so much more fun back then. Like now everything is so serious, so political. The life that we're all experiencing right now is just so surreal. The fact that we literally can't be around people and we can't do anything and we can't go anywhere.
It's hard.
It's crazy. And the fact that back in the 90s we ran the streets like it was fucking nothing. And now it's like you can't even step
slapping
outside your
fives
house.
slapping fives like this, coming in for the hug. You know what I mean? Getting in close.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I have family members.
And just hugging your friends. Like
yeah, I have family members who are from like Eastern Europe or the Middle East or from the Mediterranean. I have people who are married into the family, people who aren't married into where you do the kiss on the cheek, and it's like there's a lot of things that are gonna fucking change. You know, and it sucks because like all you want to do is like see your homies that you haven't seen in a while and fucking give them a hug. And the 90's was the epitome of that because I feel like even in the 60s and 70s and 80s, people were more like shake hands.
They were shaking hands.
Every time I greeted somebody was with a hug. Every
Right.
time
like the pound hug. You know what I mean?
Guy or girl, you got met with a hug. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, yeah, I know, like whatever I treated, you know, like you treat girls differently, whatever. But the thing is, like the boys would be hug on the inside and you know, with the inside handshake, and girls would be the full embrace, you hug. You know what I mean? And you were able to embrace your friends and have that like, yes, we're connected and we're about to go and do some crazy shit.
Yeah, we're about to get fucked up.
That was the 90's in a nutshell, and it was great. And the thing is, like, we were like, it's great for a whole 10-year block as being mostly positive, because even in the early 2000s and the teen 2000s, now going into the 2020s, it's like, you know, we may have a little bit of that instability of the feeling of sureness. And in 1990 to 1999, we had like all of that reassurance in the 90's. Like that was like almost a blanket of security over us. We were like super comfortable with the culture. Everybody's super comfortable with our language. Comedy, you could get away with whatever the fuck you wanted to. Back in the 90's, comedians could say whatever the fuck they wanted to. Now, God forbid, you know what I mean? Say something and somebody who may not agree with you is sitting in the audience. It doesn't matter what the interaction is. That person could be a fucking alien from a different planet. That alien doesn't like what you said, complains to the management. You're fucking canceled. That's why I named the show Canceled. That's why I named this fucking page Canceled. Because people and all the cool shit gets canceled.
It's so true. And that's the thing. Like, not only did cool shit like shows and whatever, like stuff like that, get canceled, our fucking lives are canceled right now. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And we just can't do anything. You can't meet with people. You can't go to the movies. You can't go to concerts. You can't go to a fucking restaurant. You can't go to a bar. This shit is just it's really depressing. So it's actually cool that we went back in time for a little while and just reminisced about back in the day and how good it was, because it was great.
I feel like this is a cool way to wrap up the show too, because, you know, like at least with all that bullshit with how like the world is being now, what we could totally do now is we could totally just connect with our friends like this and just continue to do this shit until we can fucking hang out with each other. Because then all we got to do is just click a button, talk shit for fucking 2 hours, and fucking tell the world to go fuck itself, right? So thanks for coming on, Ann. I'm really happy with fucking having you on. Yeah, I have another idea for another fucking live cast for you too. That would be great. I don't know. I think it might be Subway orientated. I have no idea, but we'll I want to get something heated. I want to fucking like really get in on something.
You want to really get me started, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so thank you so much for coming on, and I will definitely have a plan to have you on later. And I miss you. I miss all my homies back in Brooklyn. And definitely right now, Big Critique, our homie, Ann and mine, homie Mark is live right now. So as soon as you're done watching us, go over to Big Critique and
get the fuck over there.
Get the fuck over there. Watch this big critic guy. This critic guy is gonna critique shit and tell you how it is. You go and see him.
Fuck that asshole.
Fuck that asshole. He's live right now on Big Critique. Tomorrow night I'm going live on the Nothing Network, and we're gonna be doing like we did the history of Stoned yesterday for the 420 special. We're gonna be doing a history of 420. So
awesome. Uh-oh.
So watch us tomorrow night on Nothing Network at 9:30. And you have a good night. Peace out. I'm going to give you a hug.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
All right. Bye. Good night, guys. Cancel with Ryan Murphy.
You.
And